This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA, fight.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show Network, with your hosts, Jake Merrifield, Bill Shirley, Jamaal Artis, and Mike Regalado, bringing you anything and everything UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
And welcome to What's Bruin, the show about anything and everything freaking Bruin sports. I am your host, Bill Shirley.
Oh my God, there is a huge spider 2 inches away from my face. Oh man, is that terrifying. Oh my God, I did not like that at all. Wow.
I heard that today and it reminded me of Bill's Chupacabra moment.
Oh, dude, I thought... But, okay, first of all, that was huge.
Go on.
It was a
What
big
was it?
bug of some sort that was by my head that no one saw for some reason.
Nobody saw. How many people were in the room with you? At least 4.
And no one saw it.
No one saw it.
I sort of got
And you
upset.
dove on the ground and like stopped, dropped, and rolled like you're on fire.
It was
It was
amazing.
like Ricky Bobby after
The imaginary fire.
imaginary fire.
It was crazy.
Bill was like, ah!
You don't understand.
You didn't see that?
You should have been there.
No, we didn't see it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Anyways.
But yeah, welcome to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Network, where we have some shows sometimes.
The bare minimum came back.
The
That
bare
was
minimum
nice.
did. It was nice. And it was good to see Megan when I walked through the door. I was like, how long you been here? She was like, 2 minutes. I was like, so she
We
just got
literally
in.
just walked in the door.
That's so cool. That's really good. That's really good. It's good to see her. I'm glad she's home for Thanksgiving. I'm glad she'll be joining you and maybe us, ? For the Cal game. You can reach these guys
Go
on
Bears.
Twitter, or is it X, whatever it's called? I don't know.
Twitter X is what
Twitter
it is.
X.
La Twit-X.
LaTwitX at What's Bruin Show. You can, of course, email the show, what'sbruinshow@gmail.com. Maybe get a T-shirt. Jake still has boxes and boxes of them. And,
not
of
true.
course, the bigger thing is we're on Substack, whatsbruin.substack.com, and on YouTube. No, we're not filming
true.
on YouTube. We're not filming on
Not
it.
yet.
No, oh, yeah.
I'm softening.
Oh.
I'm softening.
I don't know. I keep thinking.
Like not a primary
Wow.
thing, but maybe
I'm
a
just-
secondary
yeah,
thing.
just-
Wow,
just adding-
guys. Wow, look at this.
You're ready
man.
to try buying a Beamer with that super chat money. You know, I mean, so.
Yeah.
It's not really true,
$30.20. $38.20. All right. So, guys, go ahead and you can go ahead and maybe get some merchandise. I'm thinking about buying some for the boys
That'd be nice.
for Christmas. Seriously.
Oh, Violet wants a mug.
Are you serious?
I showed her that. She goes, "Oh, this you got. I can order any of this." I'm like, "Yep." And she keeps going. She's like, "Mug. I want the mug." I was like,
I still need
Yes,
to
dear.
check exactly, like, when does that trickle down to us in some way, shape, or form? I still haven't figured. I haven't gotten any emails from that company. But hey, I know Shame Dog got his stuff. Like, he got a bunch of stuff. I know people have gotten stuff.
Jake, maybe we don't get anything.
That's true.
Maybe it's
Oh well, hey, it's for the people. It's a service for the people. Buy your own What's Bruin stuff.
There you go. So you can go ahead and
I got a lawyer. We can figure it out.
That's right. The link for that will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing, Jake. You had some calls after the game. I heard some of the calls.
Yeah.
Do we have any more calls that you're going to play after this show?
Yeah, we have 17 minutes of calls.
Okay, good.
Well, yeah, there's like 12 minutes of calls and 5 minutes of me responding to those calls.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. I will be home sleeping when that happens, but that's
Yes.
good.
I already got that segment made, which is nice.
That's so nice. And
so I don't have to stay up after you leave.
Oh, very good, Jake. The number to call to maybe give some more calls for Jake to stay up even longer.
That'd be nice.
It's 805-399.
For WBS.
Suck your random draw.
Suck it.
It was really funny to hear the other side of that.
It was.
Suck it, what's Bruin?
I was actively rooting for UCLA today, and it makes me feel dirty.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
That's right.
It really is good. We should enjoy it.
Yes, enjoy it while it lasts here. So,
At least for another year.
at least for another year. So, guys, let's get on with the show with the Bro-Filiated headlines with Mike.
Just gonna make these really quick because Jake.
Bro.
Suck it, Jake. It's basketball season. We have to get into
I
it.
would like to avoid the basketball shows for as long as possible.
No.
I will allow it.
Let me start with the women's basketball team, who is now 4-0.
Hey, can I play the basketball theme, bro?
Yeah, please go.
Jesus
I
Christ.
don't care. Women's. Women's. Women's.
Bill, wake up.
I'm here.
He took off his headphones.
He can still hear me.
I can hear.
The Bruins are number 2 in the nation this week, the highest AP ranking in program history. They're going 4-0. They had a tough time against Princeton on Friday, but this team is they're kicking some arse right now.
That's awesome.
And they are headed to the Cayman Islands, and I'm just hoping that this ranking doesn't jinx them. I hope
opening
that
up accounts or something. Are they? Is that where their NIL is going?
Exactly. I mean, actually, they just started the Champions of Westwood, the NIL for the women's team.
I saw it.
But the Bruins are heading to the Cayman Islands, and I'm hoping this number 2 ranking doesn't jinx them because they are taking on number 6 Connecticut on Friday. So I'm hoping that turns out really well for them.
Beat the Huskies.
The UCLA men's basketball team, they lost their Maui Invitational opener to Marquette in a really good game. In this game, I don't know how much you want to get into the basketball talk, Jake, but I'll just briefly say that.
Mike, what does the rundown say? It says do basketball talk here. So I'm ready to talk. Like, did I watch the game?
I don't know.
The Marquette game?
I don't know.
I did.
I don't know.
So let's go. Let's talk.
This is the best they've looked this
I want to talk about Adam Bona.
This season.
I want to talk about the MAC. Let's go. That's all I got for this team so far.
Yeah, seriously. There's a small sample size because the first 3 games were against Cupcakes, but you could tell that the Bruins were struggling in some of those games.
Yeah.
They had some cohesion issues, but against Marquette, they
disunity. Mike, was there disunity?
Not against Marquette. They looked really good. They look like a team that has been together for at least like 3 years, and that was very dangerous because Marquette didn't expect that. But Marquette held out. I think. What was it? They went on like an 11-0 run to take the lead back.
17-0.
17-0.
That was brutal.
Late in the second half. But it was like neck and neck down to the final buzzer, and unfortunately Marquette comes out the winner with a final shot. They played this afternoon against Chaminade.
They kicked the shit out of the Twins. My God. the Bono was dunking all over Jackson. The Max smacked Jordan around.
Oh, I'm like, what? No, Chaminade, Hawaii, Jake.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's different.
I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, I get it. It's Chaminade High School joke. Got it. But they started out, I believe it was 24-4.
Uh-huh.
Then Chaminade went on their own, I believe it was a 15-0 run, and they got back to within 10 at one point. Very sloppy. They had, I believe, 12 turnovers in the last 10 minutes of the first half. So Mick Cronin probably wasn't happy with that, and probably, had some words at halftime. But the Bruins came out with a big win.
28 points, right? So
yeah.
Let's get back to the other game. The
Totally.
Game.
But next is just because we're not
next, Mike?
We're not going to cover Gonzaga. UCLA plays Gonzaga, number 11 Gonzaga, and this is, I believe, the 4th time in 5 or 6 years that the Bruins are playing them, and it's
out of
beat
control.
the ZAGS.
Wow. And this will be interesting to see how UCLA responds because none of these guys, except for 4, were here last year for that, once again, painful loss to Gonzaga. But anyway, Jake, back to that first game. What did you want to talk about?
Well, I just wanted, what did you guys actually think of the game? Because I was under the impression that they were going to go into that game, and we were expecting them to compete, but probably not lose by 50, but maybe lose by 8 to 10 points and have it be like Marquette was better than them wire to wire.
McCronin is insulted that you would
know
think
he
that.
is, and I want to get around to that. But then when we fire it up and it's like, oh shit, they lost on they literally had the
it was
game-time
close
shot.
All game.
The game time shot went off the rim basically off a decent move by the MAC.
Yeah.
Bona's dunking all over everybody. And that new Euro guy they got, it was like, 0 for 11 in his first action. It's like if he maybe had the game under him, like they legit just win this game, period, end of story, right?
Yeah.
So like what do you guys think of this effort that, and by the way, it's not just me. Like I've been hearing that we're supposed to brace for this team to not quite be there yet. Like it might be a slow ramp up. And what I was kind of expecting was they're going to kind of be up and down in the non-con, which I don't think this counts as an up and down game. This is a holy shit. They just competed and lost to the number 4 team in the country by a bucket with the last second shot to tie it. So it's like, this is an up game, right? This is a quality loss, as far when it gets to tournament time later in the season. So it's like, I wasn't expecting them to be giving this sort of effort this quick. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that, guys?
I think I was the same way, Jake, in terms of my expectations. And I think that's something Mick does a good job at.
Yeah.
Low expectations, to the public, but behind the closed doors, he's getting that team into shape. And so I was thinking, I'm going to enjoy watching them, their ups and downs over the next month or so, and then now I feel like they'll be ready for the for league play. But man, it was good to see them play hard this game. They literally could have won the game. But Dylan Andrews went out for some reason. You could tell something was happening.
He was kind of hurt on the sideline. They were like ice packing him and stuff.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things, and it is what it is. But even with him out, I know Marquette went on a big run. I think a 17-0, like 17-0 run. But it was still something where UCLA had a chance to tie or win the game in the last minute of the game, which is huge.
Yeah, and I thought the MAC had a nice look at it.
Yeah,
and you would have had to. You had to kind of fit underneath the defense.
Yeah.
But that was a decent shot.
It was a decent shot. It was a decent shot by Stefanovic. Well, every time I hear his name, I go, Stefan.
Jack Stefanski.
Stefan.
I got to get the drops for Jack Stefan.
You got
him.
Those.
Okay, so that's my third player drop.
We're in the white pages.
That's great. Anyone our age or older will get that joke. But
college kids are like, what are they talking about?
By the way, I had that.
Are they being racist?
Oh, God.
In court, there was a guy that came into court, and his name was Stefan. And I did that for my clerk, who's a little bit older than me, and she almost died.
See, it's good. So either way, I'm not going to go.
Cal Worthington is a dog spot.
There you go.
That guy was a G. He was like a
gajillionaire.
No, but he also was like he was like a fucking superstar, like a ranger or some shit. I want to say, like he was like a hardcore military guy too. I want to say.
Oh, really?
I might be confused.
Cal
with somebody
Worthington?
Else. I swear to God, he had some very interesting story. Anyways, go continue.
Anyways, they played above where I thought they would be at this time.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did they play above their head, or
not above their
head?
Or
were they kind of sandbagging us for the first 4 games?
No, it's not. It's. I don't think it's either one of those. I don't think it's either one, right, Mike? It's one of those things where they have the talent. It's just that they're working to get there. So they're not above their head. They're not playing above their talent level. They are as talented, or even more talented than Marquette. It's just that they need to get into, and they're not sandbagging because there's no way that Mick is going to allow, who MFs you left and right, will allow them to sandbag, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that this was an outlier, because they showed that this wasn't 5 minutes of good basketball. This was, I would say, 35 minutes of really good basketball. And we didn't see that in the first 3 games, even though they blew out the cupcakes that they were feasting on. There was just consistent unity. And I think when they figure that out...
Not disunity?
No, not at all. Consistent unity. And when they figure out how to
UNITY?
elongate that every game as long as possible, that's when they're going to be dangerous. But right now, these are a bunch of kids who some of them don't know the entire English language, trying to figure out what the hell.
That's the other part I was worried about. This is like an international, do they have?
No, they have
universal translators underneath their from Star Trek.
I was wondering about that too.
Shirts,
But I mean, you have guys who are used to European basketball and are like, what was it? I forgot where I heard that Adaimara didn't know that you couldn't touch the ball when it's on the rim. So small things like that. Things like that they have to learn. But that's the thing. I think they just need more time to play together, to play unified, and I think they'll be fine.
I have 2 more things on this. Number 1, in weird box score stuff, they gave up that 17-point run in the second half, and so everybody in the second half was pretty much negative in the box scores, except for Dylan Andrews, and he was only a +2. But it's he didn't. It's not like he had a crap ton of effect in the box score in the second half as far as negating that 17-0 run. But we just saw it with our own eyes. That's where it kind of went sideways.
Yeah.
I don't know if that point exactly makes sense. But the other thing I was gonna say is Burke. He was 0 for 7. From the field, 0 for 2 from the 3-point line, no free throws. I was happy today. He ended up being he was 10 for 12 from the free throw line or something crazy today versus Chaminade. But he was one of the only other guys for the game that was positive in the box score. But I guarantee you, if he would have hit some shots, they would have ended up winning the game. But it's it's weird how box scores and plus minuses work, right? It's just but I thought that kind of stood out to me. It was him and Andrews were one of the only 3. There were only 3 or 4 guys that were actually positive on the plus minus. So that was kind of weird.
That's good. I mean, it gives me hope, guys. Last thing I'm saying about, honestly, it gives me hope to see where they can be going into league play. It really does. So keep playing these things and keep pushing it so far. So the UCLA is 1-1 now. And who do they play next? They play Gonzaga. I can't wait to see that. And when is it happening?
9 p.m. Wednesday night.
Yay.
Okay, well,
At least you'll be home.
At least you'll be home prepping maybe for Thanksgiving. But yes, that would be good.
What
to
time is
see.
that on the East Coast for the East Coast Bruins?
Midnight.
Sorry, Seamus.
And that's so what? That's 9 p.m. here. That's 7 p.m. Hawaii time.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
That's crazy. So there you go.
What's brewing?
Breaking news on a weekly basis.
News just in.
I told you Cal Worthington was a G.
Uh-huh.
How about this? At the beginning of World War II, he enlisted in the Army Air Corps, commissioned as a second lieutenant. He was aerobatics champion at Goodfellow Field in San Angelo, Texas. He saw combat as a Boeing B-17 flying Fortress pilot, and with the 39th Bomb Group, flying 29 missions over those damn Germans. He was discharged after the war.
Nazis. Damn Nazis.
Look, you're right, those damn Nazis. Thank you, Mike. He was discharged after the war as a captain. He was awarded the Air Medal 5 times, received the Distinguished Flying Cross, which was presented to him by General Jimmy Doolittle. So, I mean, when I said he was a G, he was a fucking
Seriously.
absolute G. Cal Worthington, we salute you.
And his dog spot.
Cheers.
And his dog spot. Yeah. All right, that's it for the Bro-Filiated headlines, right?
Blue 32, Blue 32, California, California, hood, hey! Football.
I mean, artist, really, you know?
The game that was.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I like UCLA to win the game.
USC, no, bad USC. I was actively rooting for UCLA today, and it makes me feel dirty.
We love LA.
Fight!
All right, guys. So you guys all
Go
know
Bruins.
this. Anyone listen to the show knows that UCLA beat their crosstown rivals 38-20. Awesome. That's right. So let's talk about the game first. I want to make sure you guys check out Jake's post game, where he spends a lot of time talking about the broadcast, which I guess he says
Dave Pash.
he does not like. He spends a lot of time on it. But even beyond that, he also has some good calls and his reaction to those calls and answers them as much as possible. I think there was a call for me on there that you're like, I don't care what Bill thinks. Who cares? Screw it. Was it? It was one of the ones. But either way, go ahead, please take a listen to the post game with Jake.
Go Bruins.
So Jake, Mike,
Bill.
I'll go with you, Mike. What were your thoughts on the game?
I like the way that UCLA came out fast. That's something that hasn't been commonplace with this team, and to see them jump out 14-0, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I was just kind of thinking, all right, when is this all gonna like blow up in their face? And not that it exactly blew up in their face, but there's that. What was it? I think after one of those early USC turnovers, they marched downfield and couldn't get anything. I think there was another one where they went 3 and out. There was that field goal that doinked. I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a rough one. And then USC comes back, and it's 14-10 at halftime. I'm like, okay, USC's got to do something in the second half, and just nothing. USC was flat. There was just no energy from them. And UCLA just played like there was no tomorrow. They, for all that Ethan Garbers is limited in his throwing downfield, he did a very good job of moving the ball downfield when needed and getting it to certain guys, like that one pass to Habermill and then Habermill just diving into the end zone. Just beautiful. But this was also a huge game by the defense. You have Latu, who had back-to-back sacks on Williams, which forced USC to I think they kicked a field goal on that one, right?
Yes.
I believe so. They didn't allow a touchdown. You had Alex Johnson, who I just absolutely love that dude. He was a walk-on, and he's just
Straight baller.
one of the great interviews of this UCLA team.
That was all right.
For him to, I love. He's I think we put it out yesterday. I interviewed him at the
Bro.
bro.
post practice. Absolutely love that guy, and he's a Swiftie. He's very proud of to admit that he's a Swiftie.
Awesome. Awesome.
But yeah, his scoop and score, just you couldn't ask for a better
That was terrific.
celebration for that guy. It just all came together in the second half, and UCLA just really put it on. And there was just obviously just a shift from this is going to be a depressing bowl to wow, they just destroyed this team that everybody thought was going to win the Pac-12 championship. And, obviously it's the rivalry game.
That nobody thought that for a month, up until
Preseason.
like a month ago.
Preseason.
Yeah. But I mean, the context of the game changed dramatically, from what it was.
Oh, no, exactly. I mean, how many of us picked UCLA to beat USC before the season started? I didn't.
I did, but of course I did. But what I'm saying, halfway through the season, I thought that UCLA was going to be able to handle SC, and then we had to deal with the Arizona games, and then that, like, the as bad as the offense was, it took away all my confidence in our ability to, like, have just the modicum of offensive competency to take advantage of SC's crappy defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that I think I said it before. I think I said it last week. I said there's a good offense in there somewhere, and if they can find it, I was pretty confident they were going to beat SC. But what I'm saying, Mike, is, you said that, this in itself, it's great to beat SC, right? It's always great to beat SC.
Yeah.
However, this particular game, other than our nice feelings about them kicking the shit out of SC, the game didn't really mean that much, and it's not really a momentous game because these are two teams that have underachieved this year, and especially SC. We think UCLA's underachieved. Well, they punted one horrible game, but otherwise they were kind of at expectation level. SC literally just could have lost the last 7 in a row or whatever, and they've lost 5 out of 6. Like, they were woefully short of expectations.
Yeah.
So it's there's no real accomplishment in beating this game other than the wonderful accomplishment of kicking the shit out of SC. Does that make sense?
Planting the flag, that was pretty fun. Videoing that, taking some pictures. I got some really sweet pictures. I was filming the team going to celebrate with the fans, and I'm like, oh, they're all cheering together. What are they saying? I was like, okay, I got to turn this off. This is not safe for children. But just to see, just all the players just really excited, and then them dragging the bell back to the locker room because now it's blue.
That was brilliant,
as it should be.
Yes, and from my
we played the bell sound at the beginning of the show. If you guys aren't hearing that, but we played them in the locker room with the bell at the very beginning of the show.
I feel like on the offensive side, guys, it was just enough. I just, how, because you're saying,
right?
Garbers was making some good some throws, but he missed some anything longer than 20 yards. It was just
what was the longest reception of the day for the Bruins?
Longest
16.
Oh, 16. I was about to say
16 yards.
Do you see what I'm saying? So anything
Yeah,
over
that's
that.
what I was saying.
Because there were times when number one, when I say number one, the wide receiver.
Who does number 2 work for?
Oh my God, very good, Jake. That's so good. But you had it where
Just hang on to something.
He and Kyle Ford were out there open, and he overthrew, he underthrew. It's just one of those things. It's like this guy. He's what do you call it? A game manager.
Absolutely.
He can keep going down the field with dinks and dunks, but anything like explosive.
But he played a really good game.
He did.
But that's what he
That's what he is. Yeah. That's literally what he is. He can move his feet, so that's good. Sometimes he can rush to get to the first down or more, which was good. He did that during this game. But anything where it's just those long passes, accurate passes, not him.
Well, and that's why this is kind of the same game they had offensively that they had against Stanford to a degree, right? And it's when Ethan's looked his best. And, to be fair, it's the only 2 games he's really out there super healthy. Arizona, he was too, but they kind of dinged him up, and then he ended up going out of the game.
Yeah.
But that's why when I hear, this week, just hearing the hubbub from different fans and stuff, they're saying, man, if they'd only played Garbers the whole way through or whatever, they'd be. And I'm like, well, no, they wouldn't be. They wouldn't be. No. I don't think that. I think you can make a definite case. They would have beat ASU. They would have beat ASU, and we wouldn't have had that horrible albatross of a loss around our neck.
And Utah. I think they could have got Utah.
I think they could have got Utah as well. Yeah. And so I think that's where you say it. And so does 2 games change the season around dramatically? Yeah. Oh yeah, it does. But as far as I don't think he would have made a difference against OSU, and I don't think he would have made a difference against Arizona. He didn't make a difference against Arizona. He played against Arizona, right? Yeah. And so I think that's where those 2 teams, just this particular year, they didn't have the right combination of a quarterback to compete with the best of the best in the Pac-12 this year. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even compete with the best of the best. They competed with the second best of the best. They compete with OSU and Arizona, which turns out to be the second best of the best, as opposed to Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if you could have just for this season only, like hybrid, spliced together Dante Moore and Ethan Garbers, like we'd be cooking with gas.
Yeah.
I think his name would have been DTR at that point, right?
Yes,
yeah,
should have been.
But I don't know now. Looking back, and now the season is, there's one game left. I don't think there is a way that they could have gotten over the hump of those the better teams on the schedule.
No, but
Utah,
still.
but I agree. Utah they should have beaten. ASU they still should have beaten. That's why we were all calling for Chip's head as of last week.
And defensively, I thought
Screaming at clouds.
I thought they did a good job with defensively keeping Williams in check.
The defense was unbelievably
yes,
good.
it was really good to have those many takeaways. Right, 3? Is it 3?
And the way they did, like those are truly takeaways, guys.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, they
to
had
see
2 fumbles. Yeah, that one fumble on the east side, they had that scoop and score, and then they had the interception.
Let's enjoy those fumbles and that interception just for a moment. The first one is the one where the guy's falling to the ground and they rip the ball out of his hands and it pops up and they get it. That's an unbelievable defensive play, right? And that's something that this defense really hadn't been fantastic at this year. They weren't a great takeaway team.
No.
But this game, they got both. They were stout. They destroyed them against the run. They were very good against the pass. Like I said, they had a couple broken plays, but I mean, whatever, you're going to break, especially with a team this talented, right? Yeah. But all things considered, I think you're going to be fine with giving up the yardage they did in the pace they did. And then that first interception, that was the Anderson or Johnson, right? He the one that got the pick, Mike? Was it Johnson? Alex Johnson?
Kirkwood.
I apologize. Devin Kirkwood made an amazing play on the ball.
Yeah.
Got that interception, took it away from him, and then the weird fumble that was what's his name Lloyd. He was just running in space, but
which was weird because he missed 3 tackles before that. And I was like, oh great, he's gonna break out to that. No, the ball's just breaking out by itself.
He was making a great play. But then that wasn't one where he dribbled it off his thigh pad, I don't think. I think the Bruin that tackled him, we didn't ever see it on the camera, but he had to have poked it out somehow. But that was another great play.
I don't know. I think he might have hit it on his own leg.
You think so?
I honestly...
I couldn't see the angle. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But either way, I'm so happy it came out. So
either way.
Yeah, it is from the defense. I tip my hat to you. What a great game that you guys played. So it was good to see. So let's get into Jake's favorite part of the show, which is the symposium. But before we do that, let's understand this. Look, it was a great game. Jake mentioned it best. There's nothing really on the line, but still, for UCLA fans to whip their crosstown rivals, it's always a great thing.
Go Bruins!
When we get back from the symposium, we are going to talk about the other side of this, which is Coach Chip Kelly. What do we want to do? What do the fans want? Last week it was maybe fire him. And I was one of them. You heard me.
There wasn't a lot of maybes.
there wasn't
a lot of maybes. It was universal.
And now there's some, I don't know. We'll talk about it. Let's see where we are. See if we're on the fence still. Jake was talking about it on his post-game podcast that he's flipping back and forth. You've been flipping and flapping this whole week. You have been flipping and flapping. So we'll get to that after the symposium. So rock and roll.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality. Women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
And thank you for joining the What's Bruin Symposium. We appreciate it. Symposium is, of course, a conversation over drinks, and that's what we're doing here tonight. Mikey, what are you drinking? What'd you crack open tonight?
I wanted to, in honor of Bruin on Bear Violence, I got something from Bear Republic, one of my favorite beers, Racer 5.
Me and Bill have bought you probably $400 worth of Racer 5 over the years.
It's been brilliant, and I thank you very much. And with that, I would just like to say...
I'm a bear! You're in my world now! You want to go home? Yeah. You are home in my bear cave.
What a shame.
Dad's such a dick, but oh my God, it's so funny. Poor little kid. He's gonna probably not go to UCLA or
that was a kid. I thought that was Caleb Williams.
Oh wow.
He cries a lot. Was I confused?
The kid's nails weren't painted, Jake.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I had the Racer 5. What do you have?
I'm just having some Jack Daniel's single barrel. I had to grab it real quick. And I used to be a Tennessee whiskey snob, as in I didn't like it, but then I went to Tennessee, and turns out that they got a whole lot of whiskey that's really good. Just different. They got their own process for that Tennessee whiskey.
What do you mean different?
It's good. That's all I got to say. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel. If you're going to buy a bottle of Jack, don't buy the regular one. Buy one of the Single Barrel bottles, or at the worst, like their bonded one or whatever. But Bill, you're not drinking tonight.
I'm not. I had a protein shake earlier, though.
You did. And a double. Good job. So this is the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show network. You can subscribe on the Patreon, patreon.com/What's Bruin Show for how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
Whoa.
And also, you can subscribe on the Substack at whatsbruin.substack.com for a little more than just $2.
$2.
But we appreciate your support. You get access to the Slack channel. You get some special podcasts as well that aren't available on the normal feed. But even if you just subscribe on YouTube and subscribe on Apple iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast, that's enough for us. We appreciate your support. We're trying to do our little independent pirate ship of a Bruin sports show here, and we will continue into the future doing it as long as you're listening.
Little side note, guys, for tomorrow, we've been saying 12 o'clock at night. The game is scheduled for 9 a.m. Gonzaga UCLA, not 9 p.m.
Really?
It's 9
Thanks a lot, Mike.
a.m.
Corrections and retractions.
There you go.
My goodness.
It's not like I'm going to be able to watch it. I'm going to be at football practice.
Oh, wow. We'll see.
I'll be at work. But the point is 9 a.m., not 9.
Good job.
p.m.
I may have to, good job, Bill. I appreciate that.
Thanks for doing some recon on that one.
You're welcome, guys. I was totally just scrolling on my phone.
I'm sure the Godfather already sent me an angry text when he listened to this half hour ago. But thank you for your support, and let's send the What's Bruin Show into the future. We are back on the What's Bruin Show, and thank you very much. Bill has, in his infinite wisdom, has gone into the pantry and got a big bag of chips. And now we're now eating chips. He didn't do it on purpose, but that's what it's turned into.
Are they on fire?
They are.
They're not on fire.
They're not on fire.
It turns out they're not, Mike.
They've been extinguished.
They're really not on fire anymore. That's what it is. It was all a lot of, sound and fury signifying nothing is what it turned out to be. The Bruin fan base spoke very loudly in a unified, passionate voice, and we were basically the finger of Dikembe Mutombo was waved in our face. No. That's what it looks like. Because the bottom line is, after Chip got back to 500 for like the 5th time, after he had his most recent, most embarrassing loss, in his tenure. I'm citing Arizona last year. I'm citing Pittsburgh from last year. I'm citing Arizona State from this year, losing at home to a 17-point underdog. I don't care about the quarterback situation. You shouldn't have lost to that team. That was an absolutely disgraceful loss. It's terrible. But with that being said, this team is still what, guys?
Bowl eligible.
And what's
Sexy?
the record?
7-4.
7-4.
Mm-hmm.
Have a chance to get to 9-4, I guess. Turns out that's acceptable. Apparently that floats Casey Washburn's boat. Apparently it's good enough for Martin Jarmond, and apparently that should be good enough for all of us. Because I'm not going to go back into the gaslighting that happened on the telecast on ESPN. I'm still offended by it, but I'm not going to go into it again. But it looks like Chip Kelly is staying by all accounts. And as I'll say later in the show, because, note to you guys, I pre-recorded something, the listener feedback, and I go into it there too. And as I'm feeling right now, and as I felt after they beat the shit out of the Trojans, which I'm always there for, go Bruins, beat those damn dirty Trojans.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I'm conflicted. Last week, I really felt like it was time to let him go, but I understand the counter arguments. But then again, I can't not understand the arguments for firing him. But at the same time, it's out of our hands, guys, because there has been a massive Chip. The one thing you can say for Chip Kelly is when he was confronted with any and all of the vocal fans of the UCLA program coming out and asking for him to be dismissed, what kind of game did he respond with, guys? Do you respond with a mediocre game, or do you respond with a game where he went out and kicked the living shit out of our crosstown rivals?
That one,
right?
So
and
why don't we?
To his credit,
so,
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
That means he should be on the hot seat for every game, right? Because if his back's against the wall and he comes out and actually has a game plan and wins, guys, then we should have it to where every game should be fire Chip Kelly.
Hey,
and then
I went 12-0 last year. Don't care, Coach.
Don't
Hot
care.
seat, game 1.
I am just saying, Bill's making a crazy amount of sense right now.
Right?
Yeah. So just
the worst person you know just made the best argument.
So look, here we are. Early last week we were hearing that maybe that Chip Kelly was going to be given the boot, but it turned out to not be the case. And then he responded with a big game that seemingly solidified whatever was crumbling beneath his feet. It seems like, right? I mean, that's where we're all at, guys, right? If he ends up beating Cal, and I don't even know if it matters what he does in the bowl game, but it looks like Chip Kelly is going to be the coach for the rest of the season and heading into the Big Ten, right? With that in mind, what are we thinking right now at this moment? I'm a waffler. I'm flip-flopping, going back and forth, but I understand both sides of it, and I'll kind of explain myself later with the listener feedback as well. But Bill, Mike, where are you at with this whole thing?
I still would like to move on from Chip. I've already explained my reasoning on the last podcast. So I just want to move on, start fresh. Might as well. I want somebody who a little bit more passionate. I want someone who's really, really into recruiting, who's a good coach, meaning X's and O's, good CEO, knows how to hire the right people. I'm not looking for perfection, but I'm looking for someone who has a little bit more care on that side of the equation, right? When recruiting, NIL, the things that I know times have changed, and I want someone who's going to shift with those changing times. And I don't think Chip is still stuck into, I'm here to coach. That's all I'm doing. That's literally, I think he's said that before, right?
Yeah.
I'm just here to coach.
That's certainly what he's shown too.
Yeah. So I need someone who's because there's not like, it's not like some rare thing to find a good coach who also can recruit, who can also motivate people to donate more for the NIL and all that stuff.
It doesn't mean he has to be the best recruiter.
No.
It just means he has to be a
recruiter.
a little bit better than what he's doing right now.
And and Chip's not that guy, and it's okay.
A little bit better than doing the
bare
glad
minimum?
handing than what he's doing.
Bare minimum.
Do you guys think it's
the bare minimum
interesting timing with how the UCLA football coaches put out that NIL message this week?
Mike, are you talking about this one?
New era in college athletics. We need your support. Please donate to Men of Westwood.
We need you. Do your part and donate to the Men of Westwood, the official NIL collective for the UCLA Bruins.
Supporting Men of Westwood helps us recruit and retain our student athletes.
With 100% of the proceeds going to our players.
Let's rally, Bruins. We need support for our team. Donate to the Men of Westwood.
When you give to Men of Westwood, your generosity directly makes a difference on the field.
Small donations
or large ones.
And it all makes a big difference.
Let's do this. The game has changed. Help us stay a step ahead.
Now's the time to show your pride for the Bruin gold as the Bruins prepare to make their move to the Big Ten.
Let's show them what we're made of and show our student athletes how much we care.
Name, image, and likeness is vital in college football today. Men of Westwood helps us in this new era. Please visit menofwestwood.com to get started. And thank you for all your support. Go Bruins.
Number one, do we think that is a coincidence that after this was one of the major complaints about the Chip Kelly era, and even just in the last couple of weeks, that was some scuttlebutt, like he wouldn't even wear a T-shirt or whatever, and he was discounting Mick Cronin wearing a T-shirt for the basketball version of the Men of Westwood. Coincidence that this video finally comes out, or what do we think about this? Direct result of
everything. It's like you show that you could win. Beat down your rival in a game that doesn't mean much, but it still gives a lot to the UCLA fan base, which needed a shot in the arm, some adrenaline, and then doing what they're supposed to do. Now, can you imagine if early signing period? I don't think this is going to happen, but can you imagine UCLA just bringing in like they've gotten commitments and signatures from like 5 different 5-star athletes? It's not going to happen, but it's like, why wait this long? This could have been done so much earlier without the pain and the suffering and the frustration.
There's so much about how Kelly handles the press and the public that we could say that about. However, in his defense, you could say, well, maybe this is him kind of changing with the times. It took him a long time to finally deal with the defensive coordinator situation. I would argue that he handled it pretty well last year in the in the hire that he made. I thought Bill McGovern was a plenty fine defensive coordinator hire, and obviously it had a tragic outcome to it, right? Yeah. Nobody knew that he was going to fall ill, right? Yeah. But it seems like he had shown the flexibility to correct that last year. And then, of course, obviously it's a home run by hiring DeAnton Lynn this year, right? And that's just kind of like, lucky timing by the way that works out to a degree. But maybe this is him adjusting a little bit more. And it's kind of like, look at that as just a microcosm of the Chip Kelly era, right? He comes in, he completely guts the place, takes us down into the basement, and up until this season, we could say, well, he's improved his winning percentage each and every year. And this year, we might just be saying, oh, well, he kept his winning percentage at the same place because he has a chance to equal last year's win total, right? And their loss total, too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's really what we're leaning on and hoping for, is that what you can say about the Chip Kelly era is he's winning at a better clip the last 3 years. And if he can keep that going, then you can squint your eyes and say, well, okay, well, maybe, this is we're in an okay place. And I don't know if you guys buy that, but I mean, that's what the argument for him would be, I guess.
Well, I mean, getting back to like what you guys were talking about, we there are two sides to the argument. It's Chip is, one game. There are those in the circle that are. Chip is only one game of above 500 in the last in his tenure at UCLA, and then there are others that are like, but he's been 24-12 in the last three months, three seasons, and the anti-chippers are going to hate this. That like if UCLA wins, that's that's an 8-win season. That's 3 8-win seasons in a row. The last time that happened was during the early part of the Jim Mora era. The last time it happened before that was in 1998. What was that? That was a Toledo.
Yeah, Bob Toledo.
During the tenure. And
that was caping down.
And obviously, Terry Donahue just had a ton of, 8+ win seasons.
Well, no, you say that. And what you'd have to say to that is that, and none of them had the easy cake schedule that Kelly has had. Really,
that's another. Yeah, that's another argument.
He had a win granted to him twice in those with the FCS teams too, right? Yeah. And the non-con were absolutely dreadful in that. Look at the non-con they played this year and last year, and it absolutely pales in comparison to what the typical UCLA schedule is. So I mean, I get all that, and they're all very valid arguments.
It's such a weird, literally a 50-50 balance. He has a horrible loss to Arizona State, and he loses to. He has winnable games against like Utah and Oregon State. Last year, but he beat ranked Utah and ranked Washington. Okay. He's been to one bowl. There are so many things that are like, for and against, but you want your coach to have more for than against when trying to decide what his future is.
No, I agree. And I think the most damning stats against Kelly are not just the barely above 500 record, but also his record versus quality opponents. Like that's pretty damning. Although that's pretty front loaded too, as far as his career goes too. And you can make stats figure, and you can figure stats. I don't think that's the right expression, but it's what it you get the point. Yeah. You can manipulate the stats on this however you go. And look, like I said, I'm of two minds on this. Number one, I feel like he is getting an absolute free effing pass on what he has done at UCLA so far, because he has absolutely underachieved at what the average UCLA coach would have been. He is 11 out of 14, we'll get to a little bit later in the show. He is, under where Darrell was. He's about on par with where like Neuheisel was basically at the same time. And all these guys got fired long before him. They didn't get 6 years. And so that's what's frustrating. But on the flip side of that, when you look at the positives of this program and you say, well, even if they're not where we want them to be, are they stable? And it does feel like they're stable. The guys that come into the program don't leave in disgust. We haven't lost a bunch of guys. They've gained a bunch of guys in the era of the portal. Now, will that continue? I don't know. But it does seem like once people get here, for the most part, they're happy with how Chip Kelly is coaching them, and they seem to get better under his system, with the glaring exception of the wideouts this year.
I heard the scuttlebutt.
Chip, or Bill, go and get in here.
The scuttlebutt is that there's going to be a large swath of people transferring or putting their name in the transfer portal.
And do you think that's because of the uncertainty behind Chip's job, or do you think
I
that...
said the scuttlebutt. I didn't say it's confirmed.
Well, that's yeah. But I read that as
all
going to leave.
Here's one fallout. The UCLA had a 4-star running back, McFall, decommit yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
there you go.
So that's one fallout.
But I'm not talking about commits, right? Commits are always very fickle anyway. I mean, look how we got Dante Moore. How do you like it? To me, I'm like, I heard, we've all been hearing the same things. And it was like when Chip, it seemed like he was going to leave. It looked like a lot of these dudes were going to leave along with him. To me, that's really going to be where I'm like, okay, I'll resolve this and get back on board with the Chip Kelly era if we go through this offseason and they're still adding people. It's a net add as opposed to we start losing guys are like jumping ship. Because you're right, we've heard in the last couple of weeks that it might be that. And we've heard in the last couple of weeks that there might be guys that are kind of unhappy with how this year's gone. But then again, why wouldn't you be based on really mostly based on the one loss. But it's also based on how the offense has just not panned out this year. But when you look at how good the Kelly offense has been the last 4 years, I'm okay giving him a mulligan if it were just that. But it hasn't been just that. There's been a lot of factors going.
The big thing, the lifeblood of any successful team, college team, is recruiting. And you can argue, well, he's done it through the portal, right? I just don't think that he can keep on getting lucky through the portal. I think there has to be a balance. I'm not saying one or the other. I'm saying there should be a balance. And it seems like all his eggs are in the portal one. So for someone who
is it sustainable with NAL the way it is?
Exactly. So when you have a lack of recruiting, you have a lack of interest in pushing NIL. I don't care what the last
and a lack of the fan base at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. I don't care what the last 3 years have been. I don't care. I don't like the bigger picture. The forest from the trees is to look at those underlying factors that at some point will tip this out of his favor.
But that still is a speculation, though. That's the thing. That's what keeps me on the edge here. Is that it's still a speculation because the last 3 years, we've been hearing this. Sure. Oh, he's not recruiting, and he's relying on the portal too much. And all that, but it has worked out, and he got the guys that theoretically if they had an experienced quarterback who could get the ball deep this year, if they could have, we were expecting the quarterback situation to pan out better than it did, right?
Okay, so
I don't think Dante Moore, I don't think having a little bit better of an offensive line would have solved the problems that Dante Moore had when he got into the conference season.
Okay, but here's the deal.
Go ahead.
Dante Moore, there is a possibility because of him being benched. Once again, possibility. I'm not
You're
saying
right
that he's gone. So what did this get you then, bud? Right? What did this get you? You got a 5-star, and there's a possibility because of what happened during the season, him hitting bench, he's gone. So where are you now? Right?
And you have Ethan Garbers going into the next season.
You have Ethan Garbers, and who else? Because it seems like there were
that
five.
That was Bill's choice of starting quarterback. By the way.
I know 5. There were 5 guys. Right in the beginning. Do you really think 5 are going to be there this coming year? The answer is probably going to be no. Then the argument against would be, well, he's going to go out and just find another one. He might, or he might not. And then you're left with Garbers, who we like, but in terms of we talked about his weaknesses and he is who he is. That's what you get. So I'm still going to say
I'm still curious how it works out. I'm going to put a pin in the recruiting argument because when I look at the guys that come into the program, and once again, I will. I know you disagree, but just listen to what I'm saying first. When I look at this season, and I'm like, well, what would have made us happy this season? I think all of us would have been very happy if, number one, they don't lose the game that they shouldn't have lost under any circumstance. That's the ASU game. Can we all agree to that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And even if they would have won one of these 3 difficult road games, and when I say the 3 difficult road games, I mean number 1, Utah, number 2, OSU, and number 3, we thought it was SC, but it turns out it wasn't SC. It was Arizona, based on how the season turned out, right? If they would have picked off one of those 3 games, we would be ecstatic right now. Oh, my God, UCLA with either Garbers or with a first-year Moore. Oh, my God, and with this great turnaround of the defense, they just went 10 and whatever and would change the season around completely. But they didn't, and now we're here lamenting this and calling for Chip Kelly to be fired. But what I'm getting at is that everybody rails about the recruiting. I'm willing to still be open-minded about the recruiting at this point because they have guys that when they're at their high points, they're beating whoever's in front of them. And that includes Utah last year. That includes Washington last year. And, that to me is, I don't know if that's enough to win the Big Ten next year. I don't think it is. But it's enough to be a very quality football team that we can all be proud of and say, oh, go Bruins and all that stuff. And some years maybe it will be enough to get them over the hump to something, and maybe sometimes it won't. To me, where Chip Kelly's fallen short is when they're underachieving. It's not the overachieving games. He's shown that he's got plenty of talent doing plenty of stuff. There's plenty of guys in the NFL that they're wearing that have UCLA on their bios, right? Of all levels. And they're not the first-round draft picks. There's a bunch of guys that are from 3rd to 9th round or whatever, and they're representing the Bruins very well. So there's talent coming through the program that he is developing. He's a good talent developer. But it's when he's underachieved that's really kicking him in the ass.
I still think the more successful teams out there are ones who recruit better. If you give me a list of the top 10 teams, I'm going to show you. I'll probably show you of those top 10, the majority. Or
So is
if not
UCLA
all,
supposed to be a top 10 team?
I'm saying no.
What is our goal?
The argument is,
I would say we're supposed to be a top 25 team.
The argument is he needs to recruit better, and I'm saying those that are winning and doing well all have something in common, which is recruiting.
The Alabamas, the Georgias,
but
Michigan.
are we in Alabama and Georgia?
Take it down.
Sphere?
Take it down from that one. They don't have to even go to that.
But no, but
level.
that's the good point. That's the point. Who are winning the national championships? These teams that have just stacked with 4 and 5
Is
stars.
UCLA going to win a national championship anytime soon?
No.
I
Is
don't
that the
see
goal?
why-
Is that the goal?
Yeah, it should be every coach's goal.
Not right now. Right now is baby steps.
I mean, that was
Right
Chip
now
Kelly's goal when
right
he
now
first
it's
came in here.
true.
You know, what did he say?
That's what this guy's talking about.
Football is about championships, friendships, and relationship. Whatever it was.
I don't remember the quote, but yes.
There hasn't been a championship.
Nothing
Not
close
even,
to.
not even
So,
close.
nothing close
Yeah.
Once again.
But if he would win
if
the
I
games
look
that
at
he's
success-
supposed to win, he'd be fine.
So if you're looking at wait, guys, if you take this out of football and just go to like you get a new job and you're looking, oh God, I got to do well at this job. One of the things you might do is look at someone who's already doing well at that job, right? Someone who's already kicking butt at that job and go, what are you doing? And even if they don't even talk to you, take note of what that person's doing. And I'm telling you right now, it's the same idea. You're in college football. What are those guys doing that keep winning? Oh, it's not all. Oh, they recruit high school very well. They really put a lot into NIL.
So give me an actual example of somebody doing it, because I know there's one glaring
Jed
one.
Fish.
Thank you, Jed the
DeBoer.
Fish.
Dan Lanning to an extent. I mean, those
no,
last
or-
two had talent, but what like
Jed the Fish of those three you gave me is the best of those
exactly
three in terms
yeah.
of taking shit
Jonathan Smith
into chicken salad. Like really, taking shit. Well, you know what I mean. Taking crap into something worth something, right? So it was. I'm telling you, I don't know why we argue this. It is proven over and over again that needs to be a big part of the equation for success, and he's not doing it. And it's 6 years, guys. It's time to move on. Like I don't understand why we even argue this point. Why are we going? Well, guys, you know the recipe for success. It's right there in front of your face, and
what
he's not
do you
doing
say?
it. I say just move on.
What do you say to Bruin fans that are looking down the barrel of Chip Kelly coming back for another season? Just
control what you can
disengage or what?
Yeah, control.
Because
what you
we
can
all have to
control.
resolve ourselves to the fact that he's going to be here.
Yeah,
unless he loses to the Golden Bears in a couple days, like he's coming. He's going to be the coach for the Big Ten. So should we just like disengage and stop watching and stop listening? What are you going to do, Bill?
Well,
I mean, you stopped going.
Yeah.
You've already stopped going.
Yeah,
basically stopped watching. You do show up for the podcast
once
every month,
and I'll watch the games once in a while. But it's one of those things.
Like, what do we say to fans that are they're fed up?
I understand, but here's the thing.
Here we are.
He's saying, what do we say to fans that are fans have already shown they're fed up because you just talked. What about the Rose Bowl? What is it at? It's averaging 30,000. Fans have already said they're fed up.
How do we explain the ASU 56,000?
I think it was because I met a couple that was wearing their ASU gear, and I was like, oh, big game tomorrow. And they're like, oh, yeah. And then the mother turned around and said, it's going to be the last game in the Rose Bowl. That's part of it. Part of it is the last of.
Yeah.
I can explain that. At least that's my hypothesis, is that one last time, guys, let's go out there one last time. There it is. So it's
that is a weird outlier of a reason, yeah.
I met her right here at the
There has to
Verizon
be,
store, right
it's
next
not
to Jake's house.
It's not rational to think that everybody bought in after the Arizona loss. It's not rational to think that, right?
Yeah.
So I think Bill's explanation makes a lot more sense than
last time.
Just suddenly they went from 35,000 to 56,000.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
So guys, you got to deal with it, and fans are already showing it by not showing up. And it's a little depressing. This AD is getting a little bit. Jermon is getting a little bit more. I'm getting a little bit more frustrated with him. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, we should be making some big moves. Like, are you scared to pull the trigger? Like, this should be one of your biggest, as an AD, the football coach should be one of your biggest picks.
He didn't make the Chip Kelly hire. It's not his guy.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, why don't you pick your guy, whoever it is? Just effing pull the trigger. You have the money coming in soon.
So one more thing.
So why not pull it?
One more thing. If, let's just say, Chip Kelly is now fully behind the men of Westwood, he's going to wear T-shirts. He's going to get out there on the beat. He's going to be like beating the bushes, looking for turning fans upside down, looking for spare change in their pockets and all that stuff. Right? We saw the first step in this. It's this
New era in college athletics.
new era.
We need your support.
They need our support. So when we talk about you can donate to the Wooden Athletic Fund, WAF, which I have been a donor for years for my football tickets and whatnot.
That's awesome. Wooden as fuck. I love that.
Did I say wooden as fuck?
I love it. Wooden AF.
Yeah, wooden AF.
That's awesome,
wooden
dude. Wooden as fuck, bro.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be.
So we are wooden as fuck. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think Coach would appreciate that, but we are wooden as fuck. Hey, T-shirt idea.
That is, guys.
Wooden as fuck.
I was
actually
actually honestly
Wooden AF.
this week I was thinking about going to get T-shirts that say "Fight Club."
Oh, there you go. See,
that would be another
Okay,
one.
we got two T-shirt ideas
Wooden
now.
AF.
We have
Wooden AF would be good.
Dave,
Although we have to be careful because
Mike.
of the legal.
With
the Wooden Athletic
He's got a name.
Fund.
Yeah.
Who cares? Wooden AF. Let's Dave. I need a logo. I need Wooden AF, and I need Fight Club.
I already got that one.
You have the logo?
Well, it's basically the one from the movie. You just add 2 more fights.
Okay, so are you going to do it, or should I ask Dave to do it? Because Dave's listening right now.
Well, I need some.
The fucking
logos are cool.
Literally,
we need someone to make the T-shirts.
The official fucking
Jake
graphic designer for Riverside County, and you're like, oh no, we don't need you, Dave. Like,
No.
we don't need your contribution, Dave.
I didn't
That's
say
how
that.
Mike is.
You know what, Jake?
Take a sip of your Racer 5. Oh god damn it! I love you, Mike.
That's good.
I love you, Bill.
Dave,
I hate you both.
Dave, do you do T-shirts?
Yeah. No, just the logo part.
And then
Just the logo.
we'll get the T-shirt part.
And then we'll get sued. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
We'll get small quantities.
getting back to what I was going to ask you, assholes. When we talk about they have the Wooden as fuck, and they have the Men of Westwood. Okay. Where are you guys at with these two different things? And if Chip is actually going to put an effort into it, like, are you like behind him, or are you like, no?
He's not. I mean, that's a nice hypothetical, but he's not. He's not going to be. He is who he is.
How do you feel about UCLA saying donate to Wooden Athletic Fund and also donate to Men of Westwood, and also like rah fight. Where do you fall on that whole thing?
I say win first. I think winning is a big cure-all.
That would
for a
cure
lot
it
of-
all, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's a big cure-all. Yeah. So if UCLA was 9 or 10 wins already this year, right? Say
You
say
get
that-
more money in.
Say
you
the
get
10th
more
win was
recruits
SC.
looking at, yeah.
Oh, can you imagine that? If the 10th win, if SC was the 10th win of the year, the people would be like, oh, Cal game would probably be like 70, 80, maybe 70,000.
Yeah.
If it was 10 wins and they just beat SC, and you know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's one of those things where that was the 7th win.
Well, the reason I bring it up too is that OG fan Shame Dog on the Slack channel yesterday, he was talking about, I donate to UCLA. I also donate to Wooden Athletic Fund already. I get that NIL pays for athletes, but I think it's out of line broadcasting regular UCLA Joes to foot the bill. It won't stop very wealthy donors from commercial investments. The footwork is on the athletic department to better market itself to commercial advertisers. This segment has been my life's work. Enlighten me. He's
Okay.
basically asking why you do both.
What did I reply?
Well, no, I will. I'm going to get there. Basically, what he's asking is like, first you're asking me to do WAF, then you're asking me to do Men of Westwood. It's like, go out there and get a fucking car dealership or something. That's basically what Seamus is saying. And I'm sympathetic to that as somebody who already donates to WAF
Read my reply.
and
Read my reply.
am supposedly supposed to like donate to Men of Westwood too. Mike says, so you don't think that every little bit helps? Also, no one is forcing you to donate. It's a separate entity in terms of paying players. The athletic department needs to do a better job marketing, but to an extent, isn't that what this is doing, right? Where do we land on that?
I mean, it's a new era. This is where college athletics is going. Whether it's football, basketball, soccer, women's basketball, whatever, baseball. This is just something new.
It is kind of
100 years ago in college football.
It is the wild, wild west in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. 100 years ago, people were still playing with leather helmets. Oh, we're going to start playing with metal helmets? What's that like? It's an evolution. It's just something to further enhance the game, the quality, the content, and obviously when you have big schools that can do this, and honestly, Petros actually did have a good rant on the Petros Some Money show this year. He basically summed it up by saying, yeah, these NIL collectives are good, but you're asking the average Joe who's driving home from his 9-to-5 job, who's probably, has a tough time in this economy. You want them to help foot the bill? Why don't you go to the big donors and say, hey, we need a little bit more?
That's literally what Seamus asked.
Which,
literally what he said.
Which is fine, but at the same time, it is an individual's choice to give to stuff like this, to the Wooden Athletic Fund, whatever you want to donate to the school. I want to donate $1,000 to the psychology department, to the art department, the physics department.
You can earmark that for specifically whatever you want.
Exactly. Again, that's the individual's choice. No one is making you do this. This is just another option to help further the athletic department. Yes, there are other ways that these schools that are making, millions and billions of dollars that could help invest, but obviously there are legal issues with that. But these NIL collectives make it easier to have that money go directly to the players.
I just think this underscores that they have to get this sorted out, because it is, for, like I said, for somebody who actually does donate, I'm like, well, look, I want to sit where I want to sit at the Rose Bowl, and part of the reason I donate is so that I can sit where I want to sit at the Rose Bowl. But do I want to now open up another donation that goes strictly to the players? To me, I kind of agree with what Mike, you're saying, Petros was saying, and what Shane was saying too. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, Casey Washburn, why don't you step in here on that one, bro? All you wildly successful graduates of this fine, prestigious university, of which there are millions and millions at this point, let's handle that business, please. But really what would be better is if it just were in one channel. And that's where this legislation needs to get to eventually. Just channel into one thing that we can all donate. If we want to donate to football, we donate to football. And if they want to legislate how much goes to the players and how much goes to the university or what have you, that's fine. But right now, being in the wild, wild west, this is some shit they got to figure out. Along with what is legal and what's not legal. Okay.
But you can also choose to not go to the wild, wild west as well. You can also go, hey, you know what? Vancouver looks cool at this time of year. Just going completely opposite to whatever it is people are complaining about with NIL and stuff like that. You can just avoid it. You just don't have UCLA has this new collective. Don't care. Or there are people that are going to be like, hey,
where does that lead? That leads to Dante
help.
Moore leaving because they're not paying him his money. That's where that leads, right? I mean, in a way, everybody's complaining about the UCLA fan base and how they don't get support at the Rose Bowl, and how there's only 20,000 people, and how there's apathy, and how they don't have enough NIL, framework working, and why doesn't Chip wear the fucking T-shirt? That is all directly saying to us as the UCLA fans, we're not ponying up enough to keep the players around that we want to keep, or to recruit the players that we want to recruit. And I'm saying, this all has to get sorted out at some point, because that's really where it's at right now.
On all levels, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a conundrum. I guess we'll have to leave it at that. But this is a messy situation, and hopefully it can get kind of sorted out in the wash in the next couple of years as we figure out how college football is going to go forward. Because there's no easy answer here. And I don't think we're going to find any answers. So let's put a pin in this for now. And, if you donate to any of these things, Wooden AF, Men of Westwood, whatever, God bless you. And if you don't, then that's your prerogative and, whatever. But let's put a pin in this and get to the game that will be with Jamaal, because he's waiting. He's got to wake up in the morning. So let's get to that.
Blue 32, Blue 32, California, California, hey! Football. It's the game that will be. It's the game that will be, yo. It's the game that will be.
All right, so we are bringing our good friend Jamaal Artis back onto the show live from Arizona out there in Tucson. Jamaal, how are you doing tonight?
It's a chilly night. It's 44 degrees right now outside. It's getting cold down here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's windy up here in the valley as well. The house is about to blow away. But we're bringing you on because, of course, it is Golden Bear Week, and the Bruins are going to hopefully go out there and beat the Golden Bears. We'll see.
Go, Bruins! Beat the Golden Bears! Beat them as hard as you can! Beat them with impunity!
I hate that drop.
You like that one?
Yes, I like that one.
Suck
10
it,
years.
Cal.
You like that one?
Is that Emily Mortimer? I hate Ellie. I'm going to see her one day, and I'm going to be like, bitch, Cal's better.
Well, it is Jamaal here.
California, here we come.
And I'm going to the Rose Bowl. Megan's going to go to Rose Bowl with me. Father-daughter, Cal, Bruins versus Cal game. Bruins versus Bears, I should say. Bill might actually go to a game. Jamaal?
I might.
He may actually go to a game. But the game is UCLA versus Cal at the Rose Bowl, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN, on actual real TV. That's wonderful. Not relegated we're no more Pac-12 network for UCLA football. That's a brilliant, wonderful thing. That's one of the nice things about going to the Big Ten, I guess. The ESPN, or this is a 9-point spread as of right now for the Bruins, -9. ESPN has them as a 73% winner. 52.5 is the over/under. That's an implied score of 31 to 22-ish. Bill Connolly has the Bruins as an 80% winner probability, with his score being 34 to 20. He has the Bruins as like a 14 to 15 point favorite. And Jamaal sadly will not be able to attend the game, so he'll be out there in Arizona. But you will be with us in spirit, I'm sure. Jamaal, you're coming off of a wonderful big game victory, are you not?
Hell yeah, we kept the axe 3 years in a row.
That was very wonderful.
That hasn't happened since Tedford was coach.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So we were very happy for you for that, and we will give you a
Times
California.
are changing. Extend Wilcox.
Yeah, no, I say fire Wilcox. Like you guys.
You've been saying that for 3 years.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, that's what trivia is going to be about. But we'll play one more nice drop for Jamaal.
Yeah, Berkeley is actually really great.
See, yeah, Berkeley's really great.
It's really great.
So let's get to the trivia, and then we can get Jamal's got a hard out, so we got to get through this kind of efficiently.
Now it's time for Jake's Trivia, brought to you by Jake, bringing you all the coolest trivia of UCLA football's opponent for this coming week. And now, Jake.
Staying with the theme of, do we really, are we real confident in this coach, and how are they really doing at the school, considering that we kind of got retconned out of existence in the last 4.5 days by the Washermans and the UCLA powers that be, and of course Dave Passion, ESPN, F you Dave. But where guys, I think I've already cited this before, but where does Chip Kelly rank out of 14 all-time coaches at UCLA that have coached at least a season? Where does he rank 1 to 14 amongst UCLA coaches?
12th. 11.
Jamaal, Bill, you are correct.
Whatever.
What threw Mike is, if you look it up on the stats, he is 12th, but that's because the greatest coach in UCLA history, Ed Kazarian, is number 1 with that 1,000 win percentage, with his 1-for-1 game when he coached after Coach Bob got fired, right? So you throw him out.
Isn't that weird how he moves the goalposts after he gives the question? Thanks, Jake.
I believe I literally
Jake.
said, of coaches that have coached at least a season, there's 14
I should
of
stay
them.
off my phone when you're talking about
Maybe
this
you
stuff.
should. Maybe you should. Maybe you should.
I was looking up some stats, and I saw a tweet that looked funny.
Okay. Anyway, related to that. Okay, so Cal, the Golden Bears, go Bears, where is it? They've had 20 coaches, okay? And all of their 20 coaches, I thought this was kind of interesting. Like UCLA, they have 5 different interim coaches. Ed Kazarian, who I just mentioned, took over for Coach Bob Toledo. Jed the Fish took over for who, guys?
Mora.
Yeah.
Jim Mora, thank you, Jamal. D. Wayne Walker took over for who?
Neuheisel.
Nope.
What?
StumpDorrell.com.
Dorrell.
Oh, Dorrell.
D. Wayne Walker took over for Dorrell, right? Because remember, he became one of the superpowers versus the Mega Bucks when Rick Neuheisel, Norm Chow, and him formed a Voltron of coaching staffs that went, sub 500.
Yeah.
You had Mike Johnson replace
Vermeil?
No, that's who replaced Neuheisel. Mike Johnson was the completely underqualified offensive coordinator from that group, where they had the really underqualified DC and the really underqualified OC by the time we got to the end of the Rick Neuheisel era. Yeah. Yes. And then, of course, this is the one everybody knows, it's on the tip of their tongue. George Dickerson replaced who?
Brett Sanders.
Oh, good job, Mike. Yeah. Now, a little trivia about George Dickerson, because I was having trouble with that one because he actually coached 3 games. I'm like, well, what were the circumstances of him coaching 3 games? I'm like, oh, wait, that was around the time when Red Sanders was around, but I still didn't know the context, so I asked the Godfather. All right, so the Godfather was able to shed some light on this. Red died in the offseason, and of course, what a way to go. Of course, he died in the arms of a lady that he really, truly had feelings for.
A lady of the night.
Yes. George was appointed.
He died doing what he loved.
Yes, that's right. George was
He came and went at the same time.
Jesus Christ. George.
Good job.
Hey-oh.
Good job, Mike.
Sorry, that was Richard Pryor. I can't take credit for that.
All right. George was appointed head coach, but the poor guy got stressed out, entered UCLA hospital before it was named after Reagan. 3 games was all the poor guy could handle, so we then got stuck with Bill Barnes. Bill was a terrible coach for the most part, but he did have a few notable wins, particularly over undefeated SC in '59, and then another win over SC to go to the Rose Bowl in 1961. So thank you, Godfather, for that information. Was definitely on the tip of your tongue. He also, I'll remind me to have another drop from the Godfather later, talking about the Cal game. But Jamaal, trivia for you about Cal, right? Cal has had 20 coaches, none of them interims. They've all coached at least a season, right?
Jesus.
Where does, of those 20 coaches, where does Justin Wilcox land in the all-time coaching percentage of Cal coaches? We just reminded Mike, Chip Kelly is 11 out of 14. So where does Justin Wilcox land, Mike? Or Jamaal? Or anybody?
I'm going to say 10 out of 20.
Wrong answer, but close.
Oh, close. 12.
Wrong answer, but close.
13th.
Wrong answer, but less close.
11.
11, just like Chip Kelly. Imagine that.
God.
Both these guys are the 11th best coaches in school history by win percentage for coaches that coach more than a few games, a handful of games. So I thought that was kind of a fun little bit of synchronicity, right? Considering that all of us here, if we could change administrations, we're all still kind of leaning that way. I agree. I think, right, guys?
Yeah, of course.
Even though I'm flip-flopping. Jamaal, how do you feel about the Wilcox era in general right now?
Oh, it's just mediocrity on mediocrity. It's bad mediocrity because he can't even get us to a shitty bowl game. In one bowl game in 6 seasons, one bowl game in 6 seasons since he took over for Goober Dykes, and so that's 2 bowl games.
Hey, guess what? How many bowl games has Chip got us to?
3.
1, 2. Well, 3 now. Yeah.
One that we played.
Yeah,
we haven't played the next one, and then one he got to cancel.
Yeah, exactly.
So, No,
well, I mean, but still.
Wilcox is.
God,
this is clicking. Wilcox is 35 and 42 overall for a 4.55 win percentage. Chip, of course, is 34 and 33, 507 win percentage. I will say that what we were getting quoted on the broadcast so many times was that now he is 16. 20, Mike, what is he in the last 3 years? It's theoretically he's somewhere in the neighborhood of around 650. Which would put him, in the top 5 of UCLA coaches if he were to continue at this pace. But that would be throwing away the first 3 seasons that he's had. So,
but I mean, I get that too, because you do have to base anybody in a job off their current work rather than what they did 5-6 years ago.
I do get that.
I've used this analogy before. You hire a manager to come over and take over a company that has been doing crap, and they're not going to have successful overnight unless you're Washington or Oregon. But it takes time, and you have to evaluate that person based on what they've done and how they've improved that productivity.
Yeah.
But Miguel, my good friend Jake has been pointing this out a couple times. Jed the Fish got hired by Arizona, and nobody expected him to turn that program around.
Seriously,
He's turning around in 3. I mean,
so did DeBoer at Washington. So did what's his face? Well,
sure, but you're talking about teams with bigger resources, right? Arizona's not a football school. Arizona's a basketball school. Arizona's just happy.
Very true. Yes,
they just came off of losing 5 straight to Arizona State. They're just happy if the football works. And here you got a guy who was an assistant at UCLA, and somehow he's turned around the program in a shorter time than Chip can make UCLA not be so mediocre.
Yeah, UCLA is 24 and
better resources and better pedigree coming into it too.
Yeah, UCLA is 24 and 12 in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah,
there you go.
Which is fine, but like you said, you look at how a lot of other coaches start, and they didn't have to go 3 and 9 and 4 and 8 to start either, right?
Yeah.
So that's the problem. Is he dug this big hole and alienated a lot of people, and it's like, where's the program at? All right, I didn't want this to be another. We already talked about Chip. I want to talk about Cal at this point. So
you're gonna win.
Oh, come on, Jamaal, relax. The one thing Jim did have to say about the UCLA Cal game. One of the most amazing, in his opinion, he's saying one of the most amazing UCLA Cal games was in 1965. We all remember it well, I'm sure. Bruins started the season 2-1-1. Looked like it was going to be a typically mediocre season, I should say. Then the Bruins exploded versus Cal, winning 56-3. How you like that? Huh? That's a good score for you, Jamaal? You like that?
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit of this.
Go Bruins! Bruins. Beat the Golden Bears. Beat them as hard as you can. Beat them with impunity.
Why does that year sound meaningful to us? Well, that's the year that Gary Beeben was born, right? Not that he was born. The legend was born. Culminating in a conference title with the greatest win over SC, and then first ever win in the Rose Bowl over #1 Michigan State. Beat the Spartans
14-12, I believe.
So all that happened, and thank you once again, God, for that wonderful little trivia there. Now, Jamaal, just give us a quick little primer on how the Golden Bears have been doing this year. They kind of got off to a decent start, and then it did really horribly, and then now they've been okay for the last couple games. Talk to me.
I mean, they won their last 2 games in a row. Beating Washington State. Obviously, they won the AX, beating Stanford for the second time second time in 3 years. Third AX in a row. Like I said, haven't done that since Tedford. But they should have beaten USC. It was at 50-49, I believe. They scored the touchdown and went for 2 and didn't get the 2-point conversion. But they were ahead by 2 touchdowns with 9 minutes in the fourth quarter and blew that. They should have beaten Auburn at the beginning of the season. That was before redshirt freshman Francisco Mendoza was put into the starting role.
Fernando Mania.
So it's just terrible quarterback play at the beginning of the season. I mean, this team lives and dies with Jaden Ott, pretty much, who's rushed for 1,000 yards. Is like the 5th best rusher in all of college football, but for some reason isn't among the 12 semifinalists for the Doak Award, which goes to the best running back. I don't understand that.
Hey, how's his health? Because he had 36 freaking carries against Stanford, bro.
Yeah, I know, and he had I saw something. It wasn't not only that, but I think he also had ended up with 42 touches out of 80 offensive plays, so more than 500.
That's crazy.
I mean, he was the engine that kept going, and that's really what it's come down to. In the games where he's on, those were the best Cal games. In the games like against Auburn, I think he got concussed at the towards the end of the game, so he was out of it. And of course, that's when they couldn't get their offense going. Didn't have any quarterback play. He got stopped pretty bottled up against Oregon State in Berkeley, but Cal should have won that game too. But their defense could not step up. So it's been like one of those up and down years. They face good teams. They seem to be neck and neck with them, and then do something to lose the game. And then against really bad teams like Stanford, they played North Texas State at the beginning of the season and ran all over them.
The Mean Green.
The Mean Green. Those kind of games. I mean, really, the only team where Washington State is bowl eligible. Am I right on that one, or did they lose their eligibility?
I think they got to bowl eligibility.
Exactly. They got to bowl eligible, but they've kind of been like the mediocre part of. They haven't been as good as people thought they were going to be.
Yeah, a big collapse.
And then that was probably their best game, where both the offense and the defense were playing really well against a good team versus just a mediocre team like Stanford. So that's what they're at.
Well, if you could sum up the defense just in a couple words, how would you? Oh, I'm sorry, Washington State is not bowl eligible yet. They're 5-6,
okay.
So they're not going to make a bowl. What about the Cal defense? Just give me a little bit of that.
They're the type of defense that goes at teams, but like I said, against better offense, like you just look at the nutshell, the USC offense. They were able to come back on them, score 50 points on them. Again, they should have won. I mean, turnovers had something to do with it, but sometimes they can step up. Against Washington State, they stepped up. Like I said, Stanford, they couldn't get anything going, really. Their kicker had to basically bail them out, kick these 50-yard field goals. But otherwise, that game isn't even as close. It's like 27-7. So they're pretty stout, but against good offensive teams, they're not as good. Oregon State, USC, trying to think of another game. Oh, obviously against Oregon and Washington, they couldn't stop them whatsoever. So
the thing that stuck out to me with the defense, for the Cal defense, is that when you talk about when they played Oregon State and they played Utah, they give up over 200 yards rushing to both of those teams who want to rush the ball. And then you talk about when they played Washington, ASU, USC, and Oregon, and Washington State, so that's 5 different teams. They give up 300 yards passing to those teams, and they gave up 296 to Oregon State, right? So 7 teams on the schedule, they gave up close to or well more than 300 yards passing. So it's like if a team comes in there that is good at something, it doesn't feel like the Cal defense can really limit them this year. Do you think that's kind of an accurate statement?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So then on the flip side of that, though, when I look at the Cal offense, to me, like in a perfect world, when you got Fernando Mania and you got Ott there, those are two pretty darn good players. And I look at Fernando kind of as the same story as the guy that the Bruins are looking at against Arizona. What was the Arizona quarterback's name, Mike? Do you remember?
Fafita?
Yeah, F that guy. So it kind of feels to me like a similar story in that they found this guy a couple games into the season, but he is definitely able to manufacture some plays and be a live body out there. And so the Cal offense can obviously they can run the ball behind Ott, and the Cal offense can pass the ball decent enough. So in a perfect world for Cal, there's a version of this game where they're able to keep the UCLA defense off balance a little bit to some degree. I think that we all feel like the UCLA defense should be able to handle the Cal offense. I think that's how we're all landing right now. But if things don't go right for the Bruins, it's probably because the Bears find something on offense and they're able to stay well balanced. Do you have any thoughts about that?
My only counter to that is just, yes, when the offense gets rolling, they do look really good. Against USC, even against Oregon State. I mean, if the defense had played any sort of defense, I think they it was like 3 fourth down plays in the red zone that they couldn't stop.
That was at Memorial, right?
Yeah, that was at Memorial. Cal wins that game too. Really, since Mendoza took over, the offense has looked a lot better. Because you're right, he is able to move the ball with his feet himself. He's able to get passes. I mean, look, that kid Trond Roselle against Stanford. I mean, he kept finding him. He's a walk-on, and he had like the most receiving yards in like big game, and I don't know how long. He can make players look good, but sometimes you got to remember still redshirt freshman. When he's got happy feet, he's throwing things over the receiver's head sometimes, missing easy plays, things like that, throwing interceptions. He threw an interception against Stanford. They should have been up 21-0, threw an interception, and Stanford was able to get back in the game this last week. So, I'm worried about that front four of UCLA because I think that's the engine for the defense. And Cal's offensive line, as much as Jaden Ott has been one of the better rushers in college football this year, sometimes when they're in their pass blocking, like I said, that's when people are able to disrupt Mendoza passing because it seems sometimes he's got to do a little magic himself because they don't seem to really block well for him for whatever reason. I don't know why they're so good at opening holes for Jaden Ott. And not able to block as well for Mendoza.
That sounds like a pretty similar situation what UCLA has, right? They generally are able to run the ball very well, but when they do come up short, it's generally the pass blocking, and that's not necessarily always on the line, but it's certainly part of that whole unit not being able to get it done. All right, well, Jamaal, let's go around to our predictions and see how we feel this game is going to go. Jamaal, what do you think first? Where do you think they're going to land?
This is going to be UCLA 31. I'm going to say Cal 24. And I said I'll be consistent all year. I picked UCLA to win this game at the beginning of the season, so I'm going to go with them.
All right. Bill, what do you think?
I'm going to go with 35-21 Cal.
35-21 Cal. So Bill is like...
California.
Yeah. Okay. Could you maybe expand on that?
The balance of the thing you guys were just talking. I don't want to go too far into it. It's the balance.
Why
attack.
not? This is your time. You haven't talked in like 5 minutes. Why don't you want to go too far into it?
No, it's Jamal's
your time to talk.
It's
Bill.
it's Jamal's
no,
time.
it's your time. Literally, you've been sitting there. Talk.
Jamal's time down here. It's from a great movie you don't know anything about, Jake. So either way, it's going to be if they have a balance attack, which I think they will do, because I think Cal is really on the precipice of really putting together some good games here. I think this seems to happen against UCLA, so I think it's going to happen
post SC.
Cal's gonna
like
whoop on some ass.
pre-SC, a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah,
this would be if they score 35 points, do you think that's a colossal letdown by the defense, or do you think it's kind of like SC was, where it's like their offense melted down multiple times, and then put the UCLA offense in a spot to score a bunch of points easily? What's that game script look like? Because a team scoring 35 points against this defense the way they're playing, I'm personally, I have trouble seeing that.
Well, we can't really answer. I mean, I know it's hypothesizing right now, but we can't see that until the game. We don't know what sides we're going to just.
Well, like, what would happen for them? Like, do you think they're going to give up points because the Cal offense just gets it going and is like marching on this defense?
Okay,
or do you think it's because the offense can be so bad that it?
No, the analogy would be the offense turns into something like Arizona or Oregon State. When I say the offense, Cal's
unwatchable.
Offense.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Cal's offense will be balanced like Oregon State or Arizona, and which UCLA has a hard time with. If it's one or the other, UCLA's fine. But when it's nice and balanced, if you have Ott had over 1,000 yards, am I right, Jamaal? 1,000 yards?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
he's
really?
got over 1,000 yards.
So they're going to hand the ball to him. And then you're saying for Fernando Mania, he can actually throw the ball sometimes, at least maybe not all the time, but more often than not. Yeah, there's a good chance that your daughter is going to walk out of there going, "Eat it, Dad, eat it." Let's just let you know.
Yeah, Berkeley is actually really great.
Okay, Mikey, what do you think?
Jamaal, what was your score again?
I said UCLA 31, Cal 24.
Okay, I'm going. Man, we're all differing here. I'm going to say UCLA 28, Cal 13. I just think that UCLA's defense is just spectacular. And even if Ott, has a solid game, he's going to be limited because this is probably one of the best defenses Cal has faced. But with Garbers and the way this offense is playing, and again, if they're once again playing a game for Chip Kelly, that's going to be an inspired offense that's going
Chip
to
Kelly?
work to get that win. So that's my reasoning. What about you, Jake?
I think I'm more with you, Mike. Big shocker, but I think the Bruins will. I feel like this defense is playing at such a level, even with losing Jay Toya. I think about how Cal rushed against Utah, and it's like Jaden Ott only had like 9 carries against Utah, but he had 1 carry for like 46 yards and like 7 carries for half a yard, right? And I just feel like this Bruin team is feeling it defensively. So unless the Bruin offense completely melts down, which it's fully capable of, we're fully capable of seeing another game like Arizona and ASU. We are. But I feel like Garbers is kind of going to be able to be the steady manager and continue to make good, savvy plays. And I think that this Cal offense is definitely gettable. Their defense is definitely gettable. And so then I don't think that I think that is going to be the difference here. UCLA's offense will be able to take advantage of Cal's defense more than Cal's offense can take advantage of UCLA's defense. And I think the UCLA's defense will still be stifling. So with that being said, I think the Bruins are going to put it on them a little bit, and I think it'll be something like another weird score, 32-12. I think I like that. We'll see. And then, of course, we'll go out there, and it'll be a terrible night at the Rose Bowl. It's 7:30, and we'll leave sad and angry, and I'll do another, Sprockets podcast about firing Chip Kelly. So that's where
what time is the game this time? Please tell me.
7:30.
7:30, Jamaal.
Pacific.
7:30.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's another little bit. I couldn't believe this, but they've beaten Stanford twice on the road. Those are their only 2 Pac-12 wins on the road since 2019. In 2019, they won 3 games on the road: UCLA, Stanford, and Washington. I think that was Washington's terrible year that year. 3 road. They've not won more than 2 Pac-12 road games. So if they beat UCLA, it'll be the first time since 2019 they've won 2 road games in the conference. I mean, come on, that's a fire Wilcox right there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that
With that being
drive.
With that being said, are they going to fire Wilcox?
They're not going to fire Wilcox. They're in the same spot as you guys. I mean, if he somehow pulls this one out of his ass, he gets them a 6-6 second bowl game. They know they can go into the Big 12 and be way more competitive. I mean, that's funny. The one thing that you could say about Wilcox when it comes to out of conference
Big
games,
12 or ACC?
Or excuse me, ACC. When it comes to out of conference, I was thinking Arizona. When it comes to out of conference games, he does well. I mean, even the loss to Auburn, I don't really blame him.
They were in that game.
They were in that. They should have won the game. The quarterbacks were terrible. They didn't know about Mendoza yet. He didn't even play in that game.
Fernando Mania.
Their best player, Jaden Ott, got concussed. So, they should have won the game. They didn't. But They've beaten North Carolina in North Carolina. They've beaten North Carolina at home. I forget who else did they play on the road. They've played SEC teams on the road in the Wilcox era. They've won those games. They went into North Texas, not a guaranteed game, but they stomped them, at the beginning of the season. It's like, for whatever reason, out of conference games, home, road, doesn't matter. They win those games. So I think that's what they're looking at. And, the program is in such a state of flux. I don't think they can afford to do another search. They just did that with basketball, although basketball was atrocious.
Let's go, Mad Dog.
Hiring Madsen, but they can't. I don't think they can do it again. They should. I mean, I don't understand what's the point of holding on to mediocrity, thinking things are going to change just because you give it a little bit more time. But I think they're just going to go into this. They're going into the ACC, maybe another year of Francisco Mendoza and a few talent finds here and there, and they can turn things around. Maybe be more competitive in the ACC, which is possible. But I still don't, and it's my same argument for Chip. If he wasn't good in the Pac-12, which he hasn't been at all, why would you want to go see if it'll work in a different conference?
In a conference with a bunch of more inferior teams, yeah, he'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, ACC, yeah, Big Ten, and yeah, even the Big Ten. I mean, but next year it's going to be a harder schedule for.
That's definitely going to be harder.
UCLA and Cal. I mean,
and USC.
Got to go to play. Yeah, and USC. So it's like, the three blind mice of California coaches could have really bad seasons next year, and everybody's on the hot seat. Or Chip is finally fired, and Wilcox is finally fired, and then Riley's seat gets hotter and hotter. So,
all right. Well, Jamaal, it's been good talking to you.
Yeah,
and I need to wake up early.
I have one more question for the guys. Does everybody think this is the last Cal UCLA football game for a while?
No, I mean, just from what we saw with what was it? The Apple Cup is going to be restored in 2025, I think it is. They have non-conference games locked up for the next few years, but I think that there has to be an annual thing between at least UCLA and Cal or Stanford or whatnot.
They should pay whatever it costs to knock Fresno State off the schedule and just schedule Cal, in my opinion. I would love that.
Yeah.
But they're not going to.
It would be smarter. I mean, can you imagine a September game, either at the Rose Bowl or Memorial Stadium?
Well, next year when UCLA plays Fresno State, it was going to be a September game, but it got knocked to late November.
The end of the year, so they basically replaced.
So Cal would be once again be the last game of the season.
I can't tell you the downgrade in opposing fan bases going from the Cal crowd down to the Fresno State crowd. I don't want to hear people barking at me again. Me and Bill still have traumatic memories.
God.
Bill almost got a divorce before he was even married because of the Bulldogs and the. It was a terrible experience. I don't want to deal with Fresno. No!
There's no top dog in Fresno State.
There's not. No, there's not. All right. Well, yeah, Jamaal, I'm hoping for the best, but we'll have to see. We got to hope that they have some vision here and get it rescheduled. And then hopefully at some point we're back in the same conference. That's what I would hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Jamaal, it's always good talking to you. You got to wake up early tomorrow?
Great talking to you. Yes, got to be up at 4:30 my time.
Go save some lives, bro.
Sleep.
All right. Well,
good night, brother.
Do me a favor and listen to my What's Brewing at the end here, so you have a secret mission for your Thanksgiving Day. Okay, so just fast forward to the end when you listen to this comes out tomorrow. Other than that, it's Jamaal Artis, co-host of the What's Brewing Show, live from Arizona. We love you to death, brother, and we will see you. Hopefully, we'll see you next month when you come into town.
Yes.
All
Take care, man.
Cool. We'll see you later.
Later.
So long.
Bye.
Fight!
Okay, it's time for listener feedback now. Thank you very much for calling the What's Brewing hotline, 805-399-4WBS, Second Arena, Troy. There were a few calls that came in after I was done recording the postgame for the Crosstown Showdown, so we'll play them right now. And once again, thank you very much for calling.
Hey guys, Mark in Burbank calling the morning after the crushing at the Coliseum, the Bruin blowout, the Trojan trouncing. You know, some days it's hard to be a Bruin, but not this day, boys. It is a great day to be a Bruin and to be alive. As a UCLA fan who started watching this team in the year 2000, I thought it was damn near impossible that UCLA was going to win games at the Coliseum, much less win back-to-back at a Coliseum. So just taking a little time this morning to reflect and think about how UCLA has scored 100 points at the Coliseum over the last 2 games. We're averaging 50 points a game against those guys. And what a difference a day makes, or what a difference a week makes after that just horrific game against ASU, to come back and just have this team play so great. To see my man Ethan Garbers get out there and just ball like a champion, making timely throws. Just super fun game, super fun atmosphere. You know, it's been kind of doom and gloom with all the talk of coaching changes, but man, I'm celebrating today and just really loving this team and loving being a UCLA fan. Looking forward to our game against Cal next week. Hope we get a decent bowl game and can actually win a bowl game. So I'll leave you guys with this little trivia question. Let's see if you can guess the answer. Who was the last UCLA quarterback to take us to a victory in a bowl game? And if you don't know the answer, it was Brett Hundley. That's how long it's been. So let's go beat these Bears. Let's go get a bowl win and cap off an otherwise disappointing season. But, you know, go Bruins.
Well, Mark, thank you for the call. You kind of ran out of steam there at the end, but that's understandable. I will say this about the Chip Kelly era. The wins that he's gotten versus USC they might have, you know, in the long scheme of things, been relatively meaningless. You know, that's the knock people will have on them. They weren't games that really meant a whole lot within the context of the college football landscape. But he has turned in 3 unbelievably memorable performances against, you know, those particular Bruin squads, right? Games that we can look back on with some pretty fond memories. Number 1, you got the Josh Kelly one where he ran for 289 yards. That was a terrible year overall, of course. They went 3-9, but that was a very fun game. Number 2, you have a couple years ago, the last one at the Coliseum, where we all know that's the DTR hurdle game. That's the one where DTR was getting signing autographs for little Trojan fans. So that one was quite a performance. And then this one, it's not an individual performance by anyone on the UCLA offense. I mean, everybody played well enough, but it was the dominant UCLA defense shutting down the Heisman guy, Caleb Williams, and we'll remember it for that reason. So very, very memorable performances for Kelly in his wins versus USC. He's also got a couple bad losses that they blew at the end there. They had the comeback game in the COVID year. That one still hurts, and I still think that if you give the DTR the ball in that position 9 times out of 10, he's going to bring that game home last year, but he didn't, and it goes down as a really sad, crippling loss for the Bruins. But we're not talking about losses, we're talking about wins, and good job, Mark, for bringing that up. As far as bowl games go, yeah, that is a sad bit of trivia. Brett Hundley being the last one to engineer a bowl win for the Bruins all the way back in January of 2015 for the 2014 season. That was the K-State Alamo Bowl, and noted by Mora getting into it with Snyder after that game. Who knew that would be the last Bruin bowl victory? They actually had gotten to 500 in bowl games at that point, 16-1. And now they're 16-19-1 because they have, they went to one more bowl under Mora, one bowl the year Mora got fired. Imagine that, right? Jim Mora was there from 2012 to 2017, and he went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bowl games. His teams did. He didn't coach the last one. That was Jed the Fish coaching in that game. 0-1 is the Bruin coach, but goes on to success at Arizona, as we all know. Chip Kelly, 1 bowl game under his belt. That was actually played, and that is one of his worst losses last year versus Pittsburgh. So this year he's going to go to another bowl game. Looks like that is going to happen unless something terrible happens against Cal. But let's see if he can get off the schneid with the bowl games too. Maybe string together a couple bowl appearances. We know technically he qualified for a bowl game the year before that, but that was a tragedy all unto its own. All right, who's next? I think we got Diego spreading some sunshine, telling us we're all dumb.
Hey guys, it's Diego after the SC game. Obviously a very good result. The main point I want to make isn't about the game per se, but the overall fan base that we have. And I took last week off because I knew it would just be all the acid tongues coming out about fire Kelly, fire Kelly. That's the problem with UCLA fans. It's really the ultimate problem with our program is we're stupid. We don't know what we have when we have it. And we keep believing that by changing coaches, we're getting smarter. We're not. You can make changes and get further away from the target too. And that's what we did, for example, with Carl Durrell. That's what we did with Jim Mora. We didn't recognize, in Mora's case particularly, he's not really a football guy. He's a pretender. And he never had the depth or the commitment to the game that you'll see in a guy like Chip Kelly. People don't like Kelly because he's not a flim-flam salesman. He's not out there raising money, playing golf tournaments. But you can tell, and you've always known this if you think about it, Chip's a dyed-in-the-wool football guy. He eats, breathes, and sleeps football. That's all he loves. He admitted as much in his post-game conference. He weeps at the thought of the people that he enjoys coaching with and coaching. This is a real football man, okay? And getting rid of him because of a fluke loss with our third-string quarterback that admittedly was very, very disappointing. There's no diminishing that. But these things happen. As I mentioned in one of my previous calls, we get clunkers. We had a clunker, and of course the immediate reaction from the fan-thinking UCLA fan base is, oh, we got to get a new coach. We're not prepared to make that judgment. What we have is a guy that really understands and loves this game and is committed to it. And he's done a heck of a job taking the shattered program that Moore left behind and turning it into something that has some coherence and consistency to it. It's a great program that UCLA has now, and Kelly should stay. So I'll listen to the rest of your comments.
Well, thank you, Diego. That certainly gave me a little bit of a chuckle because right before I listened to your call, I said you're going to call us all dumb, and then you immediately call us all dumb. And I can't necessarily disagree with you. I really can't. Whether it's calling us dumb for thinking that there would be a change, or calling us dumb because like you're asserting that we're dumb for wanting a change. I get both points. And look, I've spent the better part of the Chip Kelly era certainly defending the process and the style that the program is in right now. And, I wavered after the ASU game. I certainly did. And I still don't quite know how I feel because I can't disagree with you at all about your assessment of Kelly. I like Chip Kelly's style. I've actually stood in front of him and asked him questions, and I am very relatively impressed with the guy, and he does remind me of just a good coach and football man. He reminds me of a lot of the coaches I know from the lower levels, and I do like that. And I've said it a million times before. There's a lot of things to like about the football program UCLA has in place right now. However, where I waver is he the only guy that you can bring in that could run a program like this and not have all the baggage that he has either helped create or that has followed him here or that has been created during his tenure. And that is the record after 6 seasons, 1 game over 500 with just the 1 to go, plus the bowl game. It's the losing the 3 out of 4 last year to really send a really fun season down into the crapper as far as like where it finally ended up. The embarrassing games against Pitt, Arizona, and Arizona State, all in the last calendar year, pretty much or almost last calendar year. Those are the ones, the colossal disappointments after what seems like have been putting us on a high because they have shown to be a really competent program in so many respects, and we've had some pretty fun big wins. But then talk about you call them acid tongues, and that's certainly there, right? Every time there is a backstep, everybody comes out of the woodwork to criticize what this is, and I think that side of the argument is absolutely played over the top as well, right? I think some of the arguments against him have certainly been cherry-picked a little bit, right, to give paint the most negative light of what has been the Kelly era. But I think we've already talked about this on the show earlier. Editor's note, I'm recording this on Tuesday afternoon, not in the evening after I meet up with Bill and Mike. But we probably already talked about this, but I'm kind of resolved and accepting that, barring some unforeseen meltdown in the next couple of games, that Kelly will be coming back and Kelly will be leading the program to the Big Ten. And there are a lot of things about that I'm okay with, that I'm perfectly fine with. But I also don't want to ignore the fact that, yeah, he's built. You can make an argument about why he's built a solid program or why the UCLA administration isn't ready to get rid of him yet, right? But I also don't want to ignore the other side of that, and that is there are plenty of good football coaches out there, and I'm with you, Diego. I don't want somebody, a flash-in-the-pan, hot salesman type, right? I really don't care. The recruiting side of it is the least attractive thing about college football to me, and generally, the better the recruit is that comes into UCLA, the bigger problem he seems to be for the Bruins. So that's one of the reasons that the appeal of how Kelly does things, not to say that is the best way to do it, but that's just my personal opinion. But I don't want them to bring in a big hot salesman. I want to bring him another football guy that's kind of similar to Kelly, only one that doesn't piss off everybody that's outside of his program for years at a time, right? That's to me, it's kind of like, is there so much baggage that it is time to move on just because of all the baggage? I mean, that's really the biggest question in my mind. But it's also not rocket science. You go look at guys that are in Division I football in the Group of 5 level making more out of less, and I'll bet you there's someone out there that's at that level right now that's had a couple years of winning records, that's established something that could come to UCLA and do as good of a job as Kelly has done. And so if and when they do choose to move on from Kelly, or if Kelly ever decides to move on, then let's not try to pretend in defense of Kelly that this has all been perfect, because it's been far from it, right? And there's a reason why the Rose Bowl attendance has been so low. There's a reason why people have gotten frustrated with Kelly. Not everybody got frustrated with Kelly after 6, 7, 8 games of his tenure, right? This has been a process that's happened over time, and it just keeps happening over and over again. And I think that's an understandable emotion too, right? So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes, and it looks like however it goes, it will be going that way with Chip Kelly, at least for the time being.
Hey guys, it's your favorite Gen Z alum, Christy Bruin. Hopefully I'm not too late to make the podcast. Just kind of sitting with this SC win. I don't know how to feel, honestly. Like, last week I was calling for Chip's head. Now I still think he should go, but I'm happy we won. It's these mixed emotions that I'm trying to deal with. So in kind of light of that, I just want to say I'm really happy for Garbers. I remember working the first game of the season against Coastal Carolina and being around the student section and hearing them boo Garbers as he came on and off the field. Obviously not his best game, that Coastal Carolina game, but just so happy that he gets to be kind of a hero in this one episode of UCLA football lore. So yeah, I'm sure you've already given Garbers his props, but it's an absolute baller for pulling this one out. So yeah, still think Chip should go. Hopefully he chooses to go on his own accord, go be an offensive coordinator for some NFL team. I think the Chargers could use him. But yeah, happy for Ethan. That's it. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.
Oh, thank you very much for calling, Crispy. And no, you did make it in time, just before. I literally had already closed the file on this, pre-recording it, and then I saw your voicemail, so good on you. I feel very similar to how you feel, right? I spent last week producing an hour of, oh my God, this is so bad, and we got to get rid of this guy content, and then they come out and play like that. And, I don't know. I certainly, as I've said previously, can be flipped and flopped on this a little probably easier than some of you out there, but I still think that everything you're saying is very justifiable. I said a minute ago that Diego had a point. Well, you got a point too, and that's where we're stuck here. I don't know if you can call it a purgatory, because there are moments that don't feel like purgatory, but then there have been moments that feel way worse than purgatory as well. I do know that whatever decision is or isn't made, we're not the ones with our finger on the button, so might as well just find the enjoyment from UCLA football where we can, and because we'll miss it when it's gone. And other than that, just try to keep an even head and don't Twitter spiral. That's never a good thing. But I am glad that you Generation Zers and us Generation Xers can find some common ground. You guys are way better than those dang millennials. XOXO. Have a good night, brother. All right, we got one more call. Who is that?
If it neither doesn't still feel good that they beat the hell out of USC. 3 rushing yards. I mean, really, whatever the actual running back got, 17 or 14 or whatever. Even if it was 14 yards of rushing, that's still abysmal. That still sad that, well, actually, no. It was awesome that we did that. It just sucks that we couldn't do it to anybody else this season. But you got to take what you can get. And hearing the victory bell is an awesome feeling also. And I will say this. The thing that hurt us this season was literally quarterback play and line play. The line came along towards the end of the season. Quarterback play didn't really get figured out. Ethan did get hurt. Maybe if he played in 2 of those games that we, had no business losing, things would be different. But if it was the 5th, we'd all be drunk. Anyway, on the Cal, hopefully we can beat Cal and become state champions after beating San Diego, Stanford, and USC. But this is Des, and go Bruins.
Thank you, Des, for calling once again. And yeah, I do want to enjoy that victory over SC for a little longer. It is nice, and we can look back at that all year long. If you noticed, at Dez's request, I added the victory bell sound from the locker room after the game into the very first part of the show. That thing comes on before Maurice Jones-Drew comes on, and that's a good thing about getting a win in the Crosstown Showdown is that thing can last for a while, and every time you see someone in that ketchup and mustard, like our friends over at Rot, I'm sure we all have people across the city, across the county, that have rooting interest one way or another, and if they are for the Trojans, we can just point to that terrific game by the defense against Caleb Williams and the men of Troy, and just say, hey, it is what it is. It's a great game, and we can enjoy it for what it was. So let's hope we got 2 more games left in the season. Let's hope that they're both wins, and we can send this season off in a happy light. At least we know for some of you that will be very hard. Muy malo, trade dur, and we are sorry for that. But anyways, thank you very much for calling the hotline, 805-399-4WBS, second ring of Troy. Suck it. We got you this year. Crosstown Showdown. You lose. Ha ha ha. But let's get on to Bill's favorite part of the show.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me?
What's wrong with you, Mike?
I remember. Sorry, I did that because I remember when that happened. That was a Thanksgiving week episode.
Was it really?
It was.
Did we serve Bill turkey beforehand?
Yeah, that was like in season 2 or 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
What's brewing with?
Is that on there?
Oh, it's definitely here somewhere.
Oh God,
I just have to type in burp into my thing.
That
It'll come up.
I've played that for friends who aren't into sports, and I'm just like, dude, just tell me what you think of this drop. They listen. Cannot stop cracking up. I'm like, dude, that is an all-time drop. That is like,
I love it. I was like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And we just lost it. All of us just freaking lost it. It was just absolutely fantastic. But it just came to me because I was like that. I specifically remembered that was a Thanksgiving episode. Right before whatever
what season was that, man?
Like 2 or 3. That's when UCLA and USC actually had the final game of the season.
Oh,
yeah.
We've gone through everything. We've talked breaking news, a little bit of Stanford review, and Pac-12 news. Now let's get to the most important part, which is what's brewing with you.
Mike, it's a good memory. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God.
Bill, what's brewing with you?
So many memories.
That's funny. Oh God. No, God. I'm trying to think. Oh. My mother-in-law's moved into an ADU. It is a huge.
Fort Jane is alive?
Fort Jane is alive
my
and
God.
well, doing well. She's moved into her ADU.
Wait, it's finished? I thought it was like rain damaged.
No, that was my house. That was
okay.
Yeah.
But either way, she's moved in.
So you can walk around your house naked now again?
I can walk around my house, balls out, man. So this is
Good
great.
Boys, get to your room.
Ball out.
Ball out. Yeah. So it's it was good. We went into the public storage to get the rest of the boxes out. Got it all out. All the boxes are now in my garage, but hopefully
Good for
she'll
you,
be moving them slowly into her house. So I am very happy about that. She is very happy about that.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah, she is, and she has her own place, and she's very excited. It's a really nice one. You got to come by and see it. It's really nice.
You're inviting us over to your house again?
Oh, it's just once. All right. So
Party at the mother-in-law's?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Party at the mother-in-law's, right.
Fort Jane.
Yeah, you do need to see it, though. It really is. Guys, it's really cool. Mike, what's brewing with you?
Aside from wrapping this up and the football basketball crossover, I actually have some very, exciting news that
What?
Yeah, my 2 daughters tried out for their basketball team at their school. Both of them made the team. That's right. So the last 2 weeks,
Mike.
we've been going out to the basketball court. Like, we don't even go to the basketball court. They're like, "Oh, can we go practice shooting?" I'm like, "No, you're going to go on that sidewalk and you're going to practice dribbling. You're going to do bounce passes. You're going to do chest passes. I'm going to have you, sidestep so you can, put your hands out, like a defender. Oh, I'm getting down to the nitty gritty before we actually get to some glamour stuff. But when we do, when I have taken them out to like the basketball courts, showing them how to properly lay up, what leg you have to jump off of, just little fundamental stuff that you just kind of like need to know, how do you shoot, at least how I was learning is like you have the ball in, above your forehead and you wave goodbye, stuff, simple stuff like that.
Bye-bye.
And obviously they, like anybody, you create your own style, but you need to know the fundamentals. You need to know how things operate and how the game is played. And yeah, they've actually, over the last 2 weeks, anytime I have like a basketball game on, I'm like, hey, check this out. But also like Violet's been into like game review and all that, because she's still into volleyball. Like her season just ended. She asked about, hey, are there any volleyball games? And we unfortunately, aren't able to go to the UCLA women's volleyball games, but men is coming up soon. So I'm like, you know what? Look up YouTube. Look up UCLA women's volleyball. So all last weekend, she was just looking at. She was getting so mad at some of the moves. I'm like, whoa, what happened? I cannot believe that they actually went for that ball that went out of bounds. That was clearly going out of bounds. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. I love you. This is amazing. You have so much emotion and enthusiasm for this game. So that's been pretty fun over the last 2 weeks, is watching them get into it. And Hugo at his school, he's not old enough yet, but they have flag football, so he's been asking if I can go play football with him. I'm like, let's practice catching and throwing first. So he's kind of getting into that.
School? Is it flag football?
Flag football. Yeah,
awesome.
Flag football. Yeah,
awesome.
So yeah, I'm a proud sports dad the last 2 weeks. So yeah, that's what's brewing with me. Jake, what's brewing with you?
I have 2 things. Number one, as an addendum to my rant on traffic the other day, I want to reiterate, you people. I don't know if this is just.
What do you mean, you people?
I mean you people. I don't know if this is just an LA thing. I have a feeling this is a national thing, but more specifically in LA for sure.
Do you want
because
more?
of the lack of enforcement of any laws, basically. But
probably
you guys are driving like complete lunatics out there, and it is very, very, very frustrating. Last time I talked about this, just a month ago, I was talking about a guy that was driving his Tesla down the center lane of Devonshire Boulevard. Is it Devonshire Boulevard? Devonshire in the valley, in the Northwest Valley. Driving down the center lane at 60 past like 5 schools at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like absolutely reckless. He's going to kill somebody. Mike?
I was on the freaking 10 freeway going to the 710 transition 2 weeks ago on a Sunday. I was going to Target. There was a dude coming at me.
Yeah.
On the freeway. I was like, what the? I slowed down and pulled over, and I could tell he knew it, because as soon as it was clear, he did a quick-ass U-turn. I was like, people, what the F? Pay attention.
As a community, we've decided we don't want any traffic enforcement, apparently, along with any other enforcement. And this is what it's leading to. Just in the last 24 hours, let's see. I had a hobo on a bike going through an intersection on a green arrow that almost caused an accident. Then today, I'm driving just down the street, and another hobo decided to walk
Jake,
into
homeless
traffic.
American, thank you.
A goddamn filthy hobo walked into traffic in front of my car, and I almost killed him.
Jake, you're dropping a hard H.
Yeah.
Goddamn filthy, out of his mind, on drugs hobo.
Yeah.
Walked in front of my car.
Homeless American.
Homeless American. Thank you very much.
That's a proper nomenclature, dude.
And look, those are just the 2 people that were out of mind on drugs. Those are drug-addled. Just in general, traffic is so poor. That was one thing today. That was one thing last night. Then on my way to the airport to go get Megan from the airport, I had a person who was driving a car down the middle of the valley without any brake lights. So therefore, when they were coming up to a stop, because there was something in the road, there was no brake lights. So they're slowing down, and you're like, what the? It's like an optical illusion. You're like, oh shit, am I going to run this person? Because, no brake lights. And there's another person who fucking decides to make a left turn out of the straight lane in the middle of traffic and almost caused 3 separate accidents all at once. And it's like, this used to be something where it's like every week you'd have some a-hole doing some a-holey thing.
All the time.
Now it's like literally every 4.5 miles you drive, there's somebody doing something that is exceedingly reckless or dangerous, and it needs to stop, people.
It does.
It needs to stop.
I see so many people. I don't know how it is on your side of the hill, Mike.
What do you mean, my side?
Your side of the hill.
Your
man.
side.
But out here, I swear to God, I
The
see
valley is dangerous.
I see so many people running red lights now. It's like assumed there's going to be someone flying through.
Yeah.
after
You have
that
to
thing
really
too.
be watch your
Like,
sides.
And I tell my sons, as boys, you're getting close to that point where
Watch your 3, watch your 9, because it is bad.
If it turns green, don't just go. Pause. Wait. Let
You know-
some other mother effer go through.
You know what we call that in law enforcement? You got to clear those lanes. Clear those lanes before you go through.
Yeah. Seriously, because it's like because there's always someone running it. So God bless.
It's ridiculous. Okay, now number 2, and this is very important. And if you've listened to this long of the show, and at this point the show is going to be 2 hours long, and God bless you all. But this is something very important. I have a mission for you. And this goes into sort of what the Solid Verbal used to do. I don't remember what they called it. But it was something where they would get people to mysteriously tweet just some random person and like hit them up with some stuff. We are in the middle of Thanksgiving week, right? It's Tuesday night. We're going to have a wonderful Thanksgiving meal on Thursday. And our friends from Reign of Troy, one of those friends is one of the most obnoxiously picky eaters that you'll ever meet in your life, and is Michael Castillo. Okay? He hates Thanksgiving because he's a goddamn un-American commie bastard for some reason when it comes to Thanksgiving meals. Even more of a commie than Mike. And
Anarchist. Thank you.
Anarchist.
Thank you.
Anyways.
Clear definition.
I know. Anywho, when Michael gets his Thanksgiving plate, which he hates, he'll have a little bit of turkey and maybe a little bit, I want to say corn, and that's it. Like he'll have, and they're clearly like the turkey's on one side of the plate, and the corn is, there's like 4 inches of dry plate between that and whatever else is on his plate. And so what I do every Thanksgiving is I send him a picture of my wonderful Thanksgiving plate with like 17 sort of things layered on top of each other, ready to eat for
As
Thanksgiving.
it should be, like an American.
You're goddamn right, Mike. So my request to all the What's Bruin fans and audience, if you're still listening to this point, God bless you. I need you to tweet your Thanksgiving plate to Michael Cast FS. Michael CAST FS.
He's gonna be like
on
what
Twitter.
The hell is
And you can tag it with whatever you want, like Thanksgiving
Be
rules,
nice.
Go Bruins, 38-20, whatever you want. But I need Michael Castillo to get numerous tweets from people with their Thanksgiving plates, because when he sees it, it almost gives him like a little bit of a gag reflex, which is wonderful, and I want that to happen, because every time I send him my plate, he really enjoys it. So please send your Thanksgiving plates in all their glory and majesty to @Michael Cast FS. That's Michael Castillo on Twitter.
All right.
And if you do that, I will appreciate you all. Go Bruins. God bless. Have a happy Thanksgiving. So, Bill, thank you for joining the show. Are you going to come back next week?
No.
Mike, thank you for the season of work that you've put in.
I'll be in, mate.
This is the last game of the regular season for the Bruins. You put in a lot of work for not only the What's Bruin show, but also Bro.
Bro.
I'll come back with a post game on Sunday at some point, and then that'll be it for the football season until we get to the whatever crappy bowl games the Bruin goes to, and a football season put to rest. I'm always sad when it happens, but I breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Because it's finally over. I feel both things. Yeah, Bill, the quarter time over there. F you. But Godspeed to the Bruins, whether they have Chip Kelly or not. Let's hope they beat the Golden Bears. Bill?
Yes.
It's been a great show.
Yes,
What do
it
we say
has.
to the people?
Go Bruins. Happy holidays. See you guys next year.
Bill's out.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, bro, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.